Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the iRacing Esports Network and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the World GT Championship. After a crazy opening 3 races at Watkins Glen, we stay in America and we head to Elkhart Lake, to Wisconsin, in fact, to Road America for races 4, 5 and 6 of a 30 race season. Joining me in the commentary box alongside me, Adam Buffett, Sam Fitzpatrick. And Sam, first of all, Road America, it's one of the longest circuits we go to, 6.41 kilometres, and one of the quickest as well, with not too much room for manoeuvre. It's going to be 3 very tough races for these GT cars tonight.
Yeah, potentially quite a high attrition rate, I think, today. And of course, these drivers are going to be aggressive. You want to get the moves done round here because you've got 3 very, very long straights. And yes, so expect to see lots of side-by-side action. And around parts of this circuit, of course, you've got miles of runoff area and gravel and stuff. And then other parts, you've got a concrete wall right on the side. So if Watkins Glen, I don't think it'll be quite as crazy as Watkins Glen was, but I think we could see something similar.
Well, indeed. Yeah, hopefully we won't have a safety car incident like we did last week at the Glen. Now, that's definitely been doing the rounds on our social media. We've just got 1 minute left of the practice session, and then we'll be getting into the qualifying, which is just a 15-minute session, and then we'll be into the quick fire sprint races. And we've got the championship standings to run you through as well. Obviously, we're only 1 race meeting in, but 3 races have taken place, and it's Christian Rose that currently sits atop the standings, with Sindre Satsas 5 points behind him, and then Andy Scheel in 3rd. 3 different cars in the top 3 positions. It's Porsche, Ferrari, Ford GT. Alex Simpson is in 4th, with Dave Baker 5th, Daniel McCauley 6th, Josh Thompson, who's doing very well in practice, is in 7th, 8th Michael Hall, 9th Jake Blackhall, and 10th Jamie Rushworth. Worth mentioning, Sam, that looking at the top 10 in the standings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so a good over half of the top 10 in the standings are driving in the Porsche 911. So that seems to be the car of choice so far this season.
Yeah, so far, and well, the majority of the drivers have gone for the 911. I was actually surprised how few drivers have gone for the 488. Apparently, according to Setsas last week, the 48 wasn't very strong around Watkins Glen. I don't expect it to be strong around here particularly either. Apparently, it's good down the long straights and through the tight, twisty corners. Whereas this has got a few kind of longer, faster corners. So maybe the 911 is going to be strong once again. But it's great to see them being relatively evenly matched. I think maybe from the fastest to the slowest but at each race. I think it's probably about a quarter of a second. So that's really good to see. And it's not a disadvantage for these drivers that they're going to have to carry through the entire season. And of course, last week as well, Christian Rose leading the way. I don't think who can, keep it track. 3 consistent results, and well, looking at the standings, that's kind of top 6 who very much.
Looking at the rest of the standings, moving over to the AM category, it's Adam Hedgecock that leads the way there. He's just got a solitary point advantage over Simon Underhill in 2nd, and then moving on further back, it's Michael Blake in 3rd. 4th is Jerome Kaiser, then Ronald Moons, Mark Woodhouse, then Luke Clark, Lane O'Connor, Jason Rowe and Scott Malcolm rounding up the top 10 there. As always, pretty close in the AM category. Multiple cars in that one, of course. Hedgecock leading the way in the boosted car. He's driving in a boosted with Savage game in 911. Then it's Underhill in the Ford GT and Michael Blake in the 911 there. And then finally, the team standings is the other championship that we're focused on. CQR Racehub leading the way there. Then it's CQR Sim Sports, just 35 points behind them. And it's Core Sim Racing in 3rd, XVR Green in 4th, and Nomad Sim Racing in 5th. And as we get the qualifying session underway, 48 cars getting set to fire it up for a lap, Sam. And after the 24 hours of Daytona that took place at the weekend, it's quite amazing to see all these drivers have still got the need to drive these cars after a pretty busy weekend, as we now get the flying laps underway now as we come across the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the difficulties things about this car is that to get the most out of your qualifying lap, you got to crawl round your out lap. Of course, it's a long circuit this and can cause these big chains of cars. And now these drivers will just be working as a team, giving each other the slipstream. Seems to be quite a few different liveries there. I don't seem to see too many like CQR drivers. I think it's a CQR 1, 2, 3 at the front of this train. So maybe trying to help one another. I'm not quite sure who's at the front of the pack, but they've just gone off the circuit, so they'll have their lap invalidated. It's absolutely crazy this point, but unfortunately they've got 15 minutes to put in at least one good lap.
Yeah, and it's one of the longest laps of the season as well, just over 6 kilometres we saw on the track info. Looking here at Michael Hall, he's currently chasing down one of the Ford GTs. Had 49 on the side of the car, just trying to work out who that is. That is Josh Thompson, but he's dropped back a little bit. It looks like it's his teammate in the other CQR Racehub car, not Christian Rose. It's the other one that's leading the way around, but got a great view of what he's got in front of him going into the carousel now. Having to dodge a Ford GT there as he goes under the sausage bridge and now through the long right-hander. And Sam was right, you can see the clock already. We're nearly approaching 5 minutes of the session and we haven't got a single flying lap on the board yet. Here we go. There's Chris Wood in the Simmortal racing car. I think his pit box was before the start line, hence why he's already got a lap time on the board. But getting ready for the first proper flying laps to come up onto the timing screen any moment now.
Yeah, and you always want that good bank to start off with, as we got the 46, I think that was. Not quite sure, in the wall. I think that was a Porsche going into the wall there, and that's one of the areas where I was saying earlier on how, you know, some places there's big gravel shafts, like off Canada Corner that Chris Wood just went through, and other places there's just a concrete wall there, and well, that was one of those places, so yeah, quite a disadvantage that I think these drivers can tow back to the pits, so it shouldn't be too much of a disadvantage, but still not a great start.
First times on the board then. Ben Hackerson is currently on provisional pole with a 59.5. Chris Wood, we were just looking at him there, he comes across the line and does a 59.9. Ben Hackerson coming back out onto the circuit again, making sure not to avoid everybody. A few other cars on flying laps as well. Carl Janssen, there he goes, straight away to the top of the timing screens with a 1:59.5, pipping Ben Hackerson by just about 300ths of a second. And Carl Janssen, Sammy is well renowned for doing pretty well in the GT field. I don't think he was at the opening race of the season at the Glen. If he did, he didn't do too well. But here, he's right on form right from the get-go, and he's putting a banker lap for everybody else to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very good lap time to start off with. As there's contact, well, that'll be a 0x for him. He
yeah.
will go off the circuit then, escape back to the pits, and we've just seen another incident, I think, down at that turn. Well, it's turn 5, isn't it, this one, because of the cornering system. You see, I don't know why they don't just name the corners. I guess they've got Canada Corner, haven't they? And the carousel around here. And not Phil Mitchell, Ben. Bill Mitchell, Ben.
Phil Mitchell, there you go. That's one way of remembering it.
Yes. I missaid it one time. That's how I remember it. So those are the only 3 that I remember. Apart from that, it's all numbers. And, well, it's difficult around here because there's so many different kinks. And I guess the final corner as well, which Christian Rose is about to approach. He got held up by his own teammate, I think, on the last lap. Josh Thompson, when Thompson just ran a little bit wide. Hopefully this time he'll be able to put in a strong lap time. Currently in P11. Just a couple of tenths quicker and he could get into the top 6. Oh, well, he's more than a couple of tenths quicker. He's 1.1 seconds quicker. Christian Rose up into pole position. 4 tenths clear.
Fantastic lap by him. Richard Warmingham goes up into 6th place with a 1:59.7. Chris Wood very nearly betters it. The small time racing driver comes across the line and does a 59.4. It is 3 tenths of a second off Christian Rose, but the times are starting to tumble, and it makes you wonder what Carl Janssen might have in the bag if he's able to get a decent lap in. Sindre Setsas comes across the line and does a 59.5, bang on. He's 800ths of a second away from Chris Wood, but all these guys will still be needing to pull something out of the bag if they want to trouble that 59.1 but from Christian Rose. A stunning lap time from him, from the championship leader, of course, going into this second race meeting of the season after a fantastic opener at the Glen in the Porsche 911. And it looks like Carl Janssen is going to be on a warm-up lap now before he gets his proper lap in, and I don't think that's going to do the tyres any good, but he's just making sure that he steers clear of anybody that is on a fast lap, and a few other drivers on an out lap as well. Sindre Setsas, Richard Warmingham, Dion Phillips as well.
Yeah, so it'll be yeah, interesting to see what those drivers can do. Of course, Wood still 3/10 clear. So and don't expect this track to necessarily get much quicker as the drivers run over this circuit. The track temperature will just increase a little bit with so many cars on track, and also this race is starting at about 8:30 in the morning, so it will be getting a little bit warmer as the race goes on. 27 degrees. Currently, it'll be interesting to see. That's the track temperature. It'll be interesting to see if that gradually increases or not. We got a car very wide there. Paul Smith had a couple of issues last week. He'll be looking to bounce back. I think he was part of that big pile-up in fact, I think he got caught out in race 1 actually. And of course, once you get a bad race 1 with these small reverse grids, it can be very difficult to recover your day.
Yeah, it's something that we know well from other series here on the channel, that if you have a bad opening race in one of these reverse grid meetings, you're on the back foot right from the get-go. So it's always good to just at least try and finish race 1, because then for race 2 and race 3, if you're new to this series, that is where we get the reverse grid wheel out, and we mix the grid up a bit. So that will be something to watch out for over the course of the evening. There is Paul Smith, the 27th place currently, the Small Time Racing driver. Currently sitting in 16th place in the Pro-Am category, 25 points on the board after the opening race meeting of the season. Ben Hackerson, he improves, and the privateer moves up into 2nd position with a 1:59.25, just over a tenth of a second away from Christian Rose there in the 4 GT, as he's now got a Ferrari number 74. I'm guessing that's Scott Malcolm, because he's that number and everything else that he races in. He's now going to provide a little bit of a tow going down the back straight under the Cheese Bridge now, as we go through one of the official corners on the circuit into turn 5.
So confusing that bridge. I thought it was like champagne or something with like the bubbles and stuff, but no, cheese.
They're craters, Sam. They're craters. those that have watched Wallace and Gromit will attest to that. I don't know if I don't know if you have, but so that was a.
Oh, all of them.
Oh, there you go. Well, I wonder I wonder if today's qualifying session will be a close shave for somebody. There you go.
Fantastic.
Get that in early. Few cars offline there. One rule in this series is that you don't have to return to the pits. You can stop on circuit and then tow back and then get back on the circuit that way. Carl Janssen back on another outlap. He's basically going to have one shot at this, it looks like, if he wants to be on the pole position for this opening race of the day. And he's just letting all those cars go by now. Paul Smith does improve. He goes up into 16th place. He does a 2:01, which isn't too bad for Paul Smith. And if you look at the rest of the times, it is also closely matched around here. If you look from Sindre Setsas in 5th down to about Christian Danes in 14th place, then it's Chris Danes in 14th place, and it's just about half a second. So plenty for these drivers, and plenty of time for these drivers to make up around the course of this lap as we get towards the back end of this opening session.
Yes, I don't know if he's got the wrong trousers on or something today, but Dan McCauley is down in last position, hasn't set a time yet.
Here he is.
Oh, and has he just moved up? No, I don't think he has, but here he is. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can improve on his time. Of course, the driver, I think in 6th position in the championship, was really good at Watkins, going consistent top 10er. And well, he'll cross the line here. Where does he go? 11th. That's good for him. And well, I'm desperately trying to think of another Wallace and Gromit joke, but I can't.
I've got one, don't worry.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tee it up for you. He's yeah, up into 11th.
Oh yeah, it's potentially turning into a grand day out for him. With just 3 minutes to go. I think that's pretty much it, really. Christian Rose, he's back out on the circuit on his final run. It's all about Carl Janssen though, because he was the one that put in the banker earlier. He is one that I'm tipping to end up on a good one, and he's on his hot lap now. Let's go on board with him, shall we, and get to grips with this circuit. Not from the rear, from the front, as we go onto the back straight now. See what he can get up to here, what kind of speeds we can get up to. He's got what looks like his teammate Ben Hackerson as a tow. It looks like it's the core team, doesn't it, that they're racing for. For some reason we haven't got them on there. But going into the left-hander. So Ferrari as well providing a bit of a tow. Wonder this will hinder his time at all as we go under the Corvette bridge. If Ben Hackerson, as long as Ben Hackerson stays in line, then there shouldn't be too much for these guys to worry about. The Ferrari gets out of the way pretty sharpish. Doesn't look like it's hindered their lap time too much now as we go into the 90-degree left-hander here, and then under the sausage bridge and into the carousel. Carl Janssen definitely on it as he goes through the right-hander, downshifting into third gear. Then gets on the power again, shifts up back into fourth as he goes out of the hairpin. And now going into the final sector of the lap, Sam, through two of the most important corners on the circuit. First of all, the kink, and now the run to Canada corner.
Yeah, if he's going to take pole position, where Rabbit's out of the hat, and, well, into the wall he goes, and, yeah, anything but that. And, well, he's going to do well to finish in 7th place in this qualifying session now. Because, well, he's not going to be able to set another time. It was an unusual one, wasn't it? It was as though he kind of overcorrected it. And really, in these cars, I'm pretty sure in quali trim, that should be quite easy flat out. But, yeah, it wasn't the case there.
Yeah, nobody would have wanted. Unfortunately, we just couldn't see it on the replay. Not the first time that in this series we've had cars ghosting in and out of each other. Hopefully we don't get that today. Similar circuit in some ways, Watkins Glen and Road America. As we look here again at the current pole sitter, Christian Rose. Don't think it's going to be Carl Janssen then on the pole after what happened. But can Christian Rose improve on his time? It's a 59.1. Nobody else has been able to improve on it. Josh Thompson has come close. So close that he's only 0.05 of a second behind as they come out. As Christian Rose comes out the final corner now, up over the top of the hill and towards the timing line. Is it going to be an improvement on his time as the checker flag is about to be unfurled? Christian Rose comes across the line and does a 59.108. Doesn't do that, in fact. Looks like he may have been on a outlap because he's got enough time to do one more, Sam, and it looks like he's still on it. So this might be the money lap for Christian Rose if he wants to hold off Josh Thompson, who is currently on a lap of his own.
Yeah, and is he going to get a little bit of turbulent air here, Thompson? I don't think he's... Well, maybe if he gets right up close to the Porsche, I'm not sure who that is just ahead of him. Oh, we got cars off, and that is it for Thompson. Didn't make contact with them, so it'll be a legal lap, but I'm almost certain he had to get out of the throttle. He's still pushing, to be fair. The driver, I think, finished 6th in the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona. In top split, of course, for Thrustmaster Mavamba, of course, racing under CQR Racehub today. And well, he's still giving it everything. Watkins Glen, he was about 4/10 clear in qualifying, so even if he did have to get out to the throttle, he might still have enough to take pole position. Enters the final couple of corners. This one will run right out onto the curb, maybe picking up a 1x there, not quite sure. And yeah, just the final corner to go. And yeah, he realises it, and well, it'll be second on the grid, still a very good position for him.
Yeah, you could just see his name flash up red then as he ran onto the grass. Sindre Setsas, what a fantastic lap from him. He's just put it into third, knocking Ben Hackerson down to 4th place. I think we haven't got too many more cars out on the circuit here. I think everybody else has pretty much finished their laps. So, looking at the order, top 10 is... made up of Christian Rose, Josh Thompson, Sindre Setsas, Ben Hackerson, Chris Wood, Richard Warmingham, Carl Janssen, and then Michael Evdoka, Dion Phillips and Simon Underhill. The names in red are the Pro-Am drivers, and you can see Simon Hill mixing it in and amongst them with a 59.6 for him in the opening qualifying session. And Simon Underhill, who sits in second, just 1 point off Adam Hedgecock in the Pro-Am Championship after the opening race meeting at the Glen. Hedgecock will start in 27th place. Simon Underhill will be starting in 10th. So Sam, I know it's a bit early to think about this, but the opportunity to gain back some points, and almost certainly if he finishes where he started, he'll be able to take quite a few points off Adam Hedgecock. Yeah,
definitely. And you got to think of the points every single round, because certainly at the end of the season, it's going to be close. None of these championships are going to be run away with. I think maybe last season, I think Foggy managed to pull away near the end due to Josh Thompson not being available for the final couple of rounds. But I think this season, with the quality field we've got, I think a lot more drivers are going to be committed to this series. And so, yeah, every point will count. Unfortunately, we've got a full formation lap round here. Incredibly annoying. It's about 3 minutes under the safety car. It's quite incredible. Why they don't just line the cars up going into kind of corner, I don't know. But yeah, we've got that in store. So plenty of time to go through the grid, I'm sure.
Definitely, yeah. Well, it gives us an opportunity to look at what we can expect here. As Sam mentioned, because of the new day to night transition here at here on iRacing, which means now that we can replicate the conditions for the whole day. So this is about 8 o'clock in the morning, or just after that, here at Road America. Race 2 will be in the middle of the day, and then race 3 will be late afternoon, early evening. So it'll be great to see, if you haven't been on iRacing for a while, how the sun will change, and I wonder whereabouts on the circuit the drivers will be racing into the sunset. If you do let us know on the chat, and we can now move on to the grid. I think as we get to the end of the gridding up process, and on the pole, Christian Rose, just 0.05 of a second between him and Josh Thompson. Sindre Setsas starting on the second row, third place, with Ben Hackerson fourth. Hackerson was on pole briefly, but then he got demoted down to fourth right at the very end, with Sindre Setsas putting in that lap to put the Norwegian into third. Chris Wood, for the highest Smart-On racing driver, is in fifth, with Richard Warmingham in sixth for XVR Green. Carly Anson starting in seventh, then Michael Evdoka for Fitzpatrick Motorsport in eighth. Then Dion Phillips in 9th for Excite, and Simon Underhill, we were just mentioning him, the Pro-Am driver for Nomad Sim Racing, starting in 10th. Ben Palmer, he's got the 1 on the car, and he's starting in double 1 position, 11th for CQR GT. Then Michael Hall in 12th, and then moving on further back, it's Jamie Rushworth. Then 14th place is going to be Daniel McCauley, Ross McFarlane 15th, Bart Delman 16th, Chris Daines in 17th, then Dave Jansen. And then it's the next best Pro-Am drivers, the Welshman Lee Deemer in 19th, and the Yorkshireman Paul Smith in 20th. As we get into the second half of the field now, Sam, what's the rest of the grid looking like?
Yes, and behind that is Johnny Brandon. A little bit surprising to see him a little bit further down, but we'll be interested to see if he can make his way up. Then it's Andy Shield. Again, a little bit surprising. Shield, third in the championship currently, so watch out for those two, certainly. They're over a second off in qualifying, but of course they'll be very quick. In the race, Michael Blake, then in 23rd. Then it's Mike Gray, Mark Woodhouse, Robert Lundgren, Adam Hedgecock, of course, AM Championship leader, John Roberts, Steve Lavelli, Lane O'Connor, Jamie Ayres, Stuart Atkinson, Steve Burke, David White, Luke Clark, Lars Van Rijn, Ronald Moons, Morgan Butler, and Chaz Jacob and Euron Kaiser rounding out the top 40. And then behind that, it's Wesley Laidler, James Underhill, Jason Ray, Lee Woodburn, Scott Malcolm, and then the drivers who didn't set a time, unfortunately, in qualifying: Jake Blackpool, Ben Gregory, Josh Rayfield, and Max Spooner. 49 car field.
Thank you very much, Sam. And now we're going down the back straight, heading into turn 5 at the bottom of the hill. You can see that curve there. There was a big incident here in real life a few years ago where one of the Ferraris ended up going into the catch fence on the left-hand side of your picture. And it's one of the big braking points on the circuit, and one of the key overtaking points on the circuit as well, Sam. As we get into the race, we can now talk about these things. But that runoff area on the exit, if a driver is able to position the car well, he might be able to stand a chance of regaining the place around the outside, going through this left-hander under the Corvette bridge. Yeah,
there's few racetracks in the world where you get better side-by-side action, because you can go side-by-side, do so many of these cars. It's kind of similar to Circuit of the Americas, where that final sector where you can go side-by-side for pretty much half a lap. And it's very much the same here. It's difficult to finish off the move. And pretty much all these corners, you kind of got half a chance, maybe a little bit of a dive. And it's all about lining it up, if you don't go for the dive, to lining up down into kind of corner. Of course, the kink should be flat, so these drivers can get a tremendous slipstream going into kind of corner. and then well, we'll have another chance down the pit straight, and then another chance going into turn 5 as well. But we were talking to I think it was Sindre Setsas last week, and just talking about the overtaking and discussing how it is quite difficult. You've got to wait for a mistake from your rival most often. Well, will that be the case today, or will the slipstream just be powerful enough? Also, will Josh Thompson be able to pull ahead of Christian Rose near the start? Because they are teammates, and they don't want to affect one another. These two are going to be two of the favourite for the championship, but at the same time, they're going to be absolutely desperate to hold on to the race win, because they need every point they can get.
Going into Canada Corner now, you can see how this track is nestled in amongst the trees, which is why there isn't too much runoff area. This track has recently come back onto the IndyCar schedule. Of course, COTA is expected to join that one in 2019, and Motorsport is back. The World Rally Championship starts this week, Rally Monte Carlo, and then of course the real Daytona 24 Hours isn't too far away. But for now, our attention is firmly on the World GT Championship, and it's a CQR race up front row with the Porsche of Christian Rose on the pole position and Josh Thompson in second as the safety car pulls into the pit lane, and we're going to have the opening 20-minute race about to get underway. The pace builds up, the green lights are on, and we're racing for the first race of the day here in the World GT Championship at Road America. Good start from Christian Rose. He's already got the advantage going into the first corner. Watch out for Sindre Setsas though. He's not able to get involved and infiltrate the CQR Racehub pack. But this is the first corner, Sam, and it's so tricky to make sure that everybody gets through there without incident. But for the most part, everybody's being well behaved, and we haven't seen too many cars get involved in contact as we go onto the back straight.
Yeah, apart from the couple of incidents on our Facebook page that we showed last week, they were very good at the race start. Christian Rose really got to defend from this one. Well, Thompson go for the move. This isn't going to be helping the teammates too much. Thompson down the inside in the 4GT, but round the outside goes Christian Rose. And now Setsas will try to get involved. He's going to go down the middle of these two. There's almost contact as well with Ben Hackerston, and I think Hackerston might go through. There's contact amongst all 4 of these drivers. It's absolutely incredible. They're almost tripping over each other at the moment. Rose down the inside once again. Thompson though, this is what we were talking about before. We've got a spinner in the background. I think that's is it Nicole Foggy? I'm not quite sure. As Thompson, I think, is finally going to make that move stick. Rose didn't defend it going into turn 5, but once again he's keeping his nose in there. Thompson though into the lead, and now Rose is going to have to defend from Sindre Setsas.
What an opening lap. It was Richard Warmingham that had gone off, or get a replay of what happened to him in a little bit, because look how close these guys are. Hopefully this is a trend for what we're going to have in all 3 races. There's a few cars run onto the grass on the exit of the kink. Josh Thompson's going to be under pressure once again, because here comes Christian Rose, the pole sitter, and Ben Hackerson and Sindre Setsas are side by side as well going into Canada Corner. Ferrari versus Ford, one of the epic battles from Le Mans in the 60s. The Ford GT coming out on top eventually on that one. Oh, Setsas getting rammed a little bit by Hackerson there, and Hackerson might now be under pressure from the other core car. That is Carl Janssen, with Chris Wood right on his tail as well as we go out through the final corner up over the timing line. The opening lap in the books. You can see how long of a lap it is. It's just over 2 minutes, but we'll be getting into the 159s or so eventually. 3 wide down the front straight. This might not end well. It is Carl Janssen, Ben Hackerson, and then Chris Wood in this 3-car trio fighting over best of the rest. And Janssen's gone off. Janssen has gone off through the first corner. Hopefully the cars can see him and he doesn't rejoin too badly, but he's only lost 1 or 2 places out of all of that, Sam. He's now slotted in just ahead of Michael Evdoka after the first lap.
Yeah, maybe he should enter the World Rallycross Championship, because that was fantastic off-road driving. Did well not to just hit the wall there. Easy to be dragged out in that situation. Just separating a little bit out in front as down the inside goes Janssen. He wants to make those positions back, and he's got one of them back here, forcing his opponent off the circuit, Chris Wood there. He started the race in 5th place. Janssen though is, well, he started in 7th. Clearly got a lot more pace than that. He'll be frustrated with that mistake, but I wouldn't rule him out of a podium by the end of this.
Let's have a look back at what happened to Richard Warmingham. Here he is in the XVR green car. He was fighting away on the opening lap of the race with car 989, which was Michael Evdoka. Then coming through the 90 right here, the Ferrari gets up the point turn, and then he gets back on his way again. But that is what happened. Richard Warmingham has rejoined. He is in 37th place on the opening lap of the race now.
Yeah, disappointing for him, and now potentially the rest of his day could be really compromised because the biggest reverse grid we're going to get for races 2 and 3 will be 20 cars. So finishing outside the top 20, you don't have to be a genius to realise that's not very good. And these drivers are looking very good for top 20 at the moment, top 5 even, maybe even top 4 for Carl Janssen, because he's the man on the move. He's going down the inside now of Ben Hackerson. Are these two teammates? I don't think they are. And, Janssen will ease his way past up into 4th place. And now I imagine Hackerson might try to follow his rival and maybe catch up to the drivers ahead.
This has been a perfect start for Josh Thompson. As you can see from the battle box, he's just about distanced himself from these guys. He's got a half a second advantage on Christian Rose. Rest of the top 10 is made up of Setsas, Janssen, Hackerson, Wood, Evdoka, Underhill and Hall. The front three are in a bit of a clutch of their own, as up the inside there goes the Ferrari of Michael Evdoka, who was involved in that little bit of contact with Richard Warmingham earlier. Chris Wood isn't able to find a response, and Michael Evdoka now moves up into 6th position, a gain of 2 places so far in this one. One of the biggest movers, you're having to look a little bit further down the field to 28th spot, and that is Jake Blackall. He's probably not going to gain too many more. He's in a bit of a second group here, but he's got Rusty Laidler behind, and since the start of the race, Sammy started in 36th and he's up to 28th, so the CQR Tarkov driver has done pretty well so far.
Yeah, we haven't seen that many crashes, have we? So that's really impressive from Jake as he nearly bins it. Maybe you will this time. Oh, how was there not more contact there? I'm not sure who that was. Michael Blake was spinning round. Well, he had an awful round, I remember, in the BSR Radical round here, retiring from all 3 races, being a very unlucky driver in that series. And it was a CQR Ford that he also hit. I didn't quite see the number there. Fortunately, they got out of the way. I think Blake might be able to continue, but of course, very limply.
Yeah, he's going to get going again, but yeah, that's not gone at all well, and he's right in the thick of the action now as Michael Blake gets passed up the inside there by Ben Gregory in the Fitzstein Motorsports car. He's also got Stuart Atkinson for company as well, and all sorts of battles going on. There's another XVR green car off there. That was
I think it was Mike Gray.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Mike Gray in the XVR silver car. That has issues there. There he is. That is just after Canada Corner. That's going through Bill Mitchell Ben. We'll see if we can get a replay. I'm not holding out too much hope for it. This is what happened. He was trying to get moved on the outside. Punts off the number 83 car. That is, as he looks through the timing screens as quick as he can with all the positions flying everywhere. Not too sure there, but it hasn't gone at all well for him. That might have been Mark Woodhouse actually in the Small Time Racing car. Woodhouse has got going again. With fortunately, not too much damage, but it's all kicking off in that midfield.
Yeah, definitely. Really feisty racing out there. Who is that? That's Sanjay Setsas going up into 2nd place. Past Christian Rose. Wow, he's managed to pull that one off. The driver who won race 3 at Watkins Glen, of course, has not been too complimentary of the Ferrari. We all know how that usually ends up when you insults a Ferrari, but he's still driving it, and he's driving it very well. 2nd place, within a second of Josh Thompson, where it's going to take some effort now to get anywhere near Thompson, but certainly a 2nd place would be great for his championship.
Here's a replay of how he got it done, under the Corvette bridge and through past the Porsche. Into 2nd place goes Sindre Setsas, so it's going to be interesting to see now what he can do to try and catch Josh Thompson. It's going to be interesting to see as he slides his way through Canada Corner. Not going to gain too much time that way, and it's also allowing the likes of Christian Rose, Carl Janssen and Ben Hackerson to all close in a little bit. This will be music to Josh Thompson's ears because he can now stretch his legs a little bit at the front. As you can see from the intervals on the timing tower, he's got a 1 second advantage as we come over the top of the hill, quickly approaching the halfway mark in this one. Very entertaining race thus far. A little bit further back, this is Jamie Ayres. He's in a battle with Paul Smith. Paul Smith, one of the YAM drivers here, and oh, it's one of the Porsches very nearly loses it on the exit there. That is Robert Lundgren, and he could be under pressure now. Sam, as we go over the top of the hill, Paul Smith's surely going to be able to try and get a move into the first corner. It's all going to be about whether he can get the top end speed.
Yes, ever so close. Ayres trying to make it 3 wide here. Down the inside goes Smith. That should be quite simple. Trying to go through as well was Ayres, but the gap really wasn't there. But yeah, nice move there from Smith back to where he started. 20th position. Of course, that's important. If he gets 20th place, then there's a chance of him being on pole position for race 2, which I'm sure he would greatly appreciate, rather than starting in 21st, of course, as we've got a move down here. Great move there from an XVR driver, but no, he's way off the circuit. The number 7, and they all missed the corner pretty much. Johnny Brandon trying to recover from that disappointing qualifying, where he's back down into 18th place. Bart Delman now moving past him. I think he was trying to get past Daniel McCauley, the number 41.
It is very inviting, isn't it, that tarmac runoff area at the end of the back straight. You can have a bit of a lunge up the inside, knowing that you've got that bit of a buffer there, where if you do make a small misjudgment on the braking, you can run onto that gravel trap or that tarmac runoff area and not lose too many positions as a result. And Johnny Brandon pretty thankful for that, as he was able to get back on again without picking up too much damage. Here's a little battle that's going on further up the field, as we see these World GT cars getting so lively through the kink. It's looking at Lee Deemer here, sat in 12th place. He's got Ross McFarlane in front of him, and Dave Jansen behind, and runs off a little bit wide there. Doesn't lose too much time, but it does invite a little move to the outside there by Jansen. Two Porsches going at it here. He's lost some time to the Ferrari in front, and now here comes the other Porsche up the inside. That's Northern Lights Racing GT Omegas. Chris Daines, who hits him, and they go through one another, and Dave Jansen has had to do a 3-point turn here, something out of the driving test. Fortunately, everybody is able to see him and not go straight into the back of him, and he gets going. But Dave Jansen's going to be in 27th place after that little bit of contact in the final corner.
Yeah, I'd be super frustrated with that one. Yeah, falling way down the order. There's just so many, like, kind of, they're not mini battles as such, you know, 5 drivers or so, but yeah, there's just so many different sections to this pack. And yeah, once again, Daniel McCauley dropping a couple of positions. So he's been passed by Johnny Brandon, who of course went off on the last lap, and now it's Deemer and Daines battling one another. And also McCauley trying to come back then at, well, Delman's now losing out. It's all going on here. And once again, Daines trying to defend from Palmer.
Yeah, Daniel McCauley.
And they're losing time to Michael Hall, so.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, Daniel McCauley was off at the first corner. We just saw the tail end of that in the CQR Sim Sports car, and he's now right at the back of this train again. Sure, he's going to have a very decent view of what's all going on in front of him as we go on board with the CQR Sim Sports car. Number 41, Daniel McCauley, has lost 3 positions since the start. You can see as well that Josh Thompson's 1 second advantage has been severely eaten into by Sindre Setsas. The gap is now just 0.2 of a second. It was about 1 second at one point, so as Daniel McCauley goes through the kink, as he follows the cars in front, we might just have to get back to that battle at the front. Here we are on board with Josh Thompson, and as we go to the gearbox, there is the Ferrari of Setsas. We did mention, Sam, that once he got past Jansen and Rose, who has dropped back a little bit now, Christian Rose, Jansen's got by him as well. How Setsas is going to set about getting past Josh Thompson, and he seems to be doing a good job so far. Gap was 1 second. Now with just under 8 minutes to go, he's starting to apply the pressure, as he was 0.2 of a second quicker than the CQR Racehub car on that last lap.
Yeah, the 2 is just inviting him back in, and I must confess, I didn't think Setsas was going to be able to catch or even pass Josh Thompson, because Thompson was so dominant on the media day, and in race 1 at Watkins Glen as well, he was 3 seconds clear by the end of the race. It's very important, which is very impressive in such a quality field. But yeah, instead, the Ferrari closing in. And, well, I think at this range, it's about just picking your move and making it stick. I think it's very possible that he's going to be able to make this move, seeing that he's been able to catch by 7/10 already. But on this part of the circuit, even though these cars aren't really aero-dependent, it is still going to push him off slightly, particularly through the carousel. And yeah, the gap just opening up to half a second. But yeah, it goes back to what we were saying before with now Setsas just needs to wait for a mistake from Thompson and absolutely pounce on it, because he's not going to get a big opportunity.
See if any of the other guys can get involved as well. I'm sure they will. This is a circuit where you do lose a lot of time if you start battling with one another. And the front 5 are all within camera shot as we go into the kink again. Lap 7 of the race, 13 minutes into the race. So not too many more laps to go around here. It's just about a 2-minute lap. So we're going to cross the line with about 14.5 minutes on the clock, so you'd work it out at about maybe three or so laps left of the race when we get to the line. And if you look at the teams, we've got CQR Racehub in first, then we've got Setsas in second with what looks like Core, same with Carl Janssen in third, then we've got CQR Racehub's Ben Hackerson in fourth, and then we've got Ben Hackerson in fifth. So all different teams, mostly different cars as well. We've got Ford, Ferrari, then the Ford of Janssen, then the Porsche of Rose, and then the Ford of Hackerson as well. As we have a little bit of a stalemate here at the front of the field as we gradually get towards the end of the race. Josh Thompson was slightly quicker than Setsas on that last lap, but Carl Janssen, Sam, personal best 1:59.9, only a tenth of a second off the personal best set by Josh Thompson. He could be now the person that we need to focus on of maybe making a late race charge for that win. He's currently on the podium, but he might have a set sights further up the field for Setsas.
Yeah, I think so, because you think he started this race in 7th place, he got up to 4th, he dropped back down to 7th. I thought he was going to go in the wall at that turn 1, and yet he's been able to recover up into 3rd, and pretty incredible how he's still so close to the race leader. I'm almost certain he's the fastest driver out there. Him and Setsas are teammates, aren't they? They're both core drivers. So, well, do they swap round and let Janssen make a move? Because I think it's more likely that Janssen's going to be able to make the move than Setsas. But then, at the same time, maybe they have different setups. Maybe one of them is going slightly lower downforce than the other. Of course, that's going to enable to make a move. But I'd say, whilst they got the opportunity, let the 92 pass the 34. And then, well, see if Janssen can get past Thompson.
That battle will carry on for the rest of the race. Here is another battle, and it's a familiar face, Chris Daines, in the 900 Northern Lights Racing GT Omega car. He wasn't the one at Watkins Glen, was he, Sam? I know he doesn't. If it is, and he probably won't want me to bring it up again.
Who was that?
Chris Daines. He wasn't the safety car miscreant, was he?
No, he wasn't.
No. Phew. Sorry, Chris. Going into Canada Corner, he's got Johnny Brandon for company. Most of these drivers have had their own bit of action during this race. Johnny Brandon we saw going a bit deep into turn 5. He's now back on it again. He's gained 8 places so far. He's bidding to make it 9. Ben Palmer is also involved. Daniel McCauley in the CQR Sim Sports. Bart Daleman as well in the Nomad Sim Racing car. We've also got Michael Hall, not too far away either. So as we come over the line again to start lap 9, Chris Daines hugging that inside wall. He does not want Johnny Brandon to get up the inside as it goes wheel to wheel between McCauley and Palmer. See what's going to happen here going into the first corner. Daines just about holds onto it, but Johnny Brandon, he's trying to get up the inside. Spots an overlap and he might just have it. Can he get alongside? Yes, he can. Is he alongside? Yes, he is. Is he through? No, as Daines powers around the outside and is able to hold on to 12th position.
Yeah, of course, Brandon leading the Euro V8 Supercar Series and the BSR Radical Series. Both of them, of course, we cover on Apex Racing TV, so a very strong driver. But he's having a hard time at the moment getting past Chris Daines, as once again looking to the outside. Daines all on the locking up those front tyres and trying to cover off the gap. Brandon though down the inside, and maybe he'll have it this time. He runs out wide, and well, even wider there was Chris Daines, and he's going to lose another position. I think that's Dan McCauley going past. No, there's a big crash amongst all of them, and well, it was a bit inevitable.
You could see it coming. Chris Daines' rear wing is all sorts of out of kilter. Same too for Daniel McCauley. It was those two that made contact going through that right hand. You could just see it in the foreground that it could happen, and it did happen. And battle for the lead is on. Here comes Sindre Setsas, Josh Thompson for the lead here. Josh Thompson challenged for the first time today, and it's Setsas that's trying to get the move done. He's trying to get the move done, but no way through. And Carl Janssen, he's got it. Oh, look at this. There's a car off the circuit. It gets out of the way. And no worries for those guys. Car 77 there. That was, looking down the field, that was
Stuart Atkinson.
Stuart Atkinson, there you go. Cheers, Sam. And yeah, he doesn't trouble those guys. But as we come across the line now, this is going to be the final lap of the race. And Setsas, he's going to have to set to work as Carl Janssen behind him puts in another personal best, 2:01.6.
Yeah, has he got a... oh no, I'm not even going to do it, sorry, it was so bad. But Sindre Setsas, yeah, quarter of a second behind. It's, well, how many more corners has he got an opportunity to make the move? Is this going to be his final chance? He's given himself a chance 2/10 of a second behind. Thompson, of course, will go right to the inside deep there. Great driver with the race car artist Josh Thompson, so he's not going to give this one up easy, as once again Setsas goes alongside. He's going to try to muscle his way round the outside. He's not going to go for the cutback. Thompson just about pulls ahead, and now all of a sudden he's going to be under pressure from his teammate. Will Janssen go for it? No, he's going to just stay behind. There's no point in these core drivers chipping each other up and spoiling a chance at the race win. But at the same time, Janssen is ever so close. And, well, Setsas, I think this is going to be he's the only one of these drivers who can win this race. But just dropping back through this part of the track.
Just under half a lap to go now. Josh Thompson knows that he's negotiated one of the key overtaking points on the circuit. It's all going to be about Sindre Setsas's exit now as we go on boards with the Ferrari into the kink. Both just about get the right amount of curb. You see Carl Janssen's name flash up red there. That meant he went off the circuit. But is Sindre Setsas going to send one going into Canada corner? Thinks of it, but doesn't pursue it. And now it's just 1/3 of a lap left. They run over the rumble strips on the exit. Now through Thunder Valley. Bill Mitchell bend here, going into the penultimate corner. Now the final corner awaits. Is this going to be an opening race victory for Josh Thompson? It looks like that's going to be the case. Josh Thompson surely cannot be slipstreamed to the line from Sindre Setsas now. What a fantastic duel between these front five. It's going to be Josh Thompson in the CQR Racehub car. Flashes the lights in celebration that wins the opening race of the day here at Road America. Second for Sindre Setsas, third for Carl Janssen, fourth for Christian Rose, fifth for Ben Hackerson. What a fantastic way to open this race meeting, Sam.
Yeah, that was great defence there from Thompson. It's great to see it being so competitive. I think Setsas and Janssen were probably the two fastest drivers there, but of course with the reverse grid, they're going to be starting quite far down. And yeah, it was good to see. Well, we didn't really get to see a lot of the drivers at the rear end of the top 10, but I think a lot of them are going to be competitive today. And if we learn anything from Watkins Glen, I think really anyone in that top 20 can certainly win races 2 and 3. So yeah, very positive going into race 2 and 3. And Cos Thompson, it becomes the first driver to win 2 races this season.
Rest of the fields gradually coming across the line now. David White's there. He goes. He finishes in 36th place. Scott Malcolm, he too has just come across the line in the Team Mad car. 38th place for him. Mike Gray, we saw him have issues earlier. He's in a new car. He got a fast repair. That is part of the rules of this series. He was off at just at that very corner that he's gone through now. And the XVR Silver car is going to come through the final corner now and will take 41st place. Wonder how important that could be when we get the reverse grid in a moment. Over the top of the hill he goes. Andy Shield in the CQR Sim Sports car is going to follow him home in 42nd. And after that, I think we have got pretty much everybody done. Indeed we have. So Andy Shield will finish in 42nd place as we cut to the scenic camera. And we are going to get the results up, and we will talk you through what happened in that opening race of the day then. Josh Thompson wins for the Isle of Man in the CQR Racehub car. Sindre Setsas in second, Carl Janssen in third. So a Manxman and 2 Scandinavians on the podium there. Christian Rose in fourth with Ben Hackerson fifth, Michael Evdoka sixth, Jamie Rushworth in 7th, 8th Chris Wood, 9th Ross McFarlane, and 10th Lee Deemer. You are right, Sam, we didn't really focus up too much on those guys in the latter half of the top 10. Lee Deemer in 10th, 11th for Johnny Brandon, 12th for Simon Underhill, and you can see there, Lee Deemer being the top AM driver, gained quite a few positions to get there as well. Then it's Ben Palmer, Michael Hall, Danny McCauley, then Paul Smith, then Bart Delman, Robert Lundgren in 18th place, 19th for Jamie Ayres, then John Roberts in 20th. Chris Daines ended up finishing in 21st place, and he ended up after that contact midway around the lap. Then Adam Hedgecock in 22nd, 23rd for Dave Janssen, Mark Woodhouse in 24th, Ben Gregory 25th, Ronald Moons in 26th place, then Jake Blackhall, 28th for Chaz Draycott, 29th for Dion Phillips, and 30th for Lane O'Connor. Johan Kaiser finishing in 31st place, Lars Van Ryn in 32nd, Steve Lavalley in 33rd, then Jason Rose, James Underhill, and then David White in 36th. And then the rest of the cars, Morgan Butler, Scott Malcolm, Max Spooner, Rusty Laidler in 40th, Mike Gray in 41st, Andy Shield, the last car to come across the line in 42nd on the lead lap. And then the cars that had issues during the race, Luke Clark 1 lap down, Then Josh Rayfield 3 laps down along with Stuart Atkinson. We saw he was back out on the circuit. Michael Blake, Lee Woodburn, Richard Warmingham in 48th place, and Steve Burke 8 laps down. Didn't really last too long in the opening race. He'll be hoping for better things in race 2 and race 3.
Yeah, and of course, coming up will be race 2, but first, the reverse grid.
Indeed,
ever
yeah.
So important between drivers 10 and 20, I believe. I think that's the options that we've got. Then we've also got a couple of like -1s, -2s, and full. I think so. It'll be a big one, hopefully.
Hopefully it will work. That's the first thing. And it did it. We have got it here. So we'll get the reverse grid on your screens now. Here it is. And let's spin it. And we will find out who's going to be on pole position for the second race of the day here in the World GT Championship. Let's fire it up. It's going to be a medium-sized reverse grid, this one. 20 cars are going to be reversed for the second race of the day. Sam, who's that going to be on pole then for the second race?
John Roberts. So John Roberts on the pole alongside Jamie Ayres. He looked pretty quick. Of course, all those guys were in quite a tight battle. I did say earlier on, didn't I? You want to be 20th, not 21st. Because Danes just about misses out. And yeah, there'll be Lundgren, Daleman, Paul Smith, Dan McCauley, Michael Hall, Ben Palmer, Simon Underhill, and Johnny Brandon. So, well, it's hard to pick that one, certainly.
Yeah, many of those drivers in the midfield, they'll be all wishing to finish in a even-placed position now because they know that could be a pole position for the second race of the day. Well, it's been a pretty frantic opening race. What a battle it was between those front 5 at the top of the field in the World GT Championship. Do stay with us though, we've got plenty more racing to go. Still 2 more races around Road America here, and we'll be getting the second one with John Roberts on the pole underway after this break here on the iRacing Esports Network with Apex Racing TV.
One of it last week. Maybe in fact.
Welcome back to Road America for the second race meeting of the day here in the World GT Championship, Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin. And after a great opening race, in terms of a battle at the front, we had 5 cars all duking it out. And as we go down to the grid now, Sam Fitzpatrick, we're getting set for a moderately sized reverse grid. John Roberts is going to be on the pole with Jamie Ayres alongside him. So another opportunity for a great race here around this narrow circuit.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be the case because at Watkins Glen, at least, we saw those drivers near the front with these reverse grids holding their own. That they aren't, you know, flummoxed by the other drivers. They will hold their own, and well, I expect one of them to win this race. But which one of them? It's going to be really difficult to call because they are so evenly matched. As you said, John Roberts on the pole position alongside Jamie Ayres. Behind that's Robert Lundgren and Bart Daleman. Paul Smith starts in 5th place, Dan McCauley in 6th, then it's Michael Hall, Ben Palmer, Simon Underhill, and Johnny Brandon. Then it's Lee Deemer, Ross McFarlane, Chris Wood, Jamie Rushworth, Michael Evdotka, Ben Hackerson, Christian Rose, across the race 1 pole sitter. Carl Janssen looked very quick, probably the quickest driver in race 1 there, Sindri Setsas, and of course race 1 winner Josh Thompson in 20th place. Behind that, it's Chris Daines, Adam Hedgecock, Mark Woodhouse, Ben Gregory, Ronald Moons, Jake Blackhall, Chaz Jacott, Dion Phillips, Lane O'Connor, Ewan Kaiser, Lars Van Rijn, Steve Lavelli, Jason Rowe, James Underhill, David White, Morgan Butler, Scott Malcolm, Max Spooner, Rusty Laidler, Mike Gray, Andy Shield, Lee Clark, Josh Rayfield, Stuart Atkinson, Michael Blake, Lee Woodburn, Richard Warmingham, Steve Burke, and Anthony Jacobson. Once again, 49 drivers out there.
Cheers, Sam. And yeah, off the field go on their formation lap, following the safety car round. There they emerge, going into turn 3, what is officially known on this circuit, because that short straight apparently classes as a turn. Now on to the back straights here, midday conditions. And we can bring those conditions back up for you, actually, just to see what we are dealing with here. 21 degrees, so not too hot around here, 21 degrees Celsius, 55% humidity, partly cloudy as well. Track temperature, 35 degrees. Now, that could be important, Sam. It might not be the longest race in the world at just 20 minutes, but how quickly these drivers and how aggressively these drivers race in this series as well. I wonder if the tyres could start to become a bit of a factor as we get towards the end of the race. Yeah,
definitely. And of course, if you get a slide in this type of weather, that can really hurt the tyres, particularly around this part of the circuit, because of course, then you got a lot of corners afterwards. Maybe around at the end of the circuit, you got a couple of long straights for the tyres to cool down. But of course, with this tyre model still, of course, yeah, a little bit of a slide, and those tyres can get very well. I actually got 39 degrees on my system, so it might even be more than 35. And as these drivers drive round, and as these drivers drive round, it could even reach the 40 mark. So it's gonna be really difficult for these drivers. And yeah, maybe a little bit of degradation, but it shouldn't be too bad. I know at Daytona, drivers were able to do kind of 3 hours on a single set of tyres, so it shouldn't be too bad in that department. But yeah, you do not want to overheat them whatsoever.
Car's just going through the carousel now. And you want to see more iRacing action on the iRacing Esports Network? You're at the right place. Just give us a subscribe and turn the post notifications on, and you will be notified when there is more action. Of course, there'll be plenty of big events on this channel. We've got the World Championship Series starting soon. That'll be contested in the Porsche this year. The very car is in action here, so good opportunity to see the Porsche 911 in action before the World Championship gets underway. And we've got loads of other stuff as well. Peak Antifreeze Series, the official NASCAR series of competition, that's starting in a few weeks as well. iRacing have really increased their prize pool for this year. Over $100,000, I think, goes to the winner of the Peak Antifreeze Series. So that is a massive improvement on years gone by, and it shows the growth in esports, especially in sim racing as well. Those of you that watched the Race of Champions at the weekend saw Enzo Benito totally own Lucas Di Grassi, a Formula E driver, Formula E champion in fact. So Yeah, who says these guys that sit behind desks or sit in rigs can't drive, eh? As the safety car comes around to get ready to go. And John Roberts is holding back the field a little bit, Sam, as we get ready to go.
Yes, just holding them up in the boosted with Savage Gaming. But here he goes, and it's a very strong run there from John Roberts. He's going to be way clear going into turn 1.
Here we go then. John Roberts is all by himself. He's left everyone for dead. Jamie Ayres doesn't know what to do. Green flag is in the air. And race 2 of the day here at Road America is underway. Roberts already establishing an early lead. 3 car starts from the pit lane. Max Spooner's got Malcolm and Rusty Laidler, hence the changes in position. But it's going to be John Roberts that leads through turn 1. Then it's Ayres, then it's Delman, then Lundgren. Everybody else going to make it through safely for the most part. It looks like it. Everybody else. If anything, Sam, they're a bit more behaved than they were at this point a lap in race 1. Probably because John Roberts left everyone for dead and the field wasn't bunched up as it was in race 1.
Yeah, and he absolutely floored it coming out of the front corner. Pretty much took it as a racing line. Maybe won't be too popular amongst his fellow drivers for that, but either way, he's got a very nice lead, and that's all he will care about. Paul Smith has already lost a position. Just down 1 place, and once again, clean start. These drivers really do know how to start these races. Of course, I've got a lot of experience in the BSR leagues and this series in the past as well. And yes, they should be very compared. Johnny Brandon, though, with a bit of a disappointing start, at least I'm showing. He's down about 13 places. Yeah,
he's down to 27th place, Johnny Brandon. Don't know what happened to him there. He didn't have the best of runs in race 1. Even though he did go off, I think he still managed to gain a few positions by the end of the race, but not the best start for him now as we go through the kink. Paul Smith, you were just mentioning him. Oof! That was Michael Hall very nearly losing it, and also Ben Palmer in the CQR GT car right behind him, very nearly losing it as well going through the kink as we get on the brakes. Up the inside there goes the Ford GT, Simon Underhill in the Nomad Sim Racing car trying to get past Ben Palmer, and his job might have been made just a little bit easier because Palmer goes off at the Canada corner and Underhill goes through. Ross McFarlane is going to try and follow him around the outside. That's going to be close going into the final corner. Also watch out for Lee Deemer in the Simmortal Dragon Internet car. That is almost contact, and it looks like there might have been contact through the final corner just up the road because John Roberts, the race leader, the pole sitter, has had to come into the pits at the end of the opening lap. Don't know what's happened to him. Hopefully we'll see on the replay. But that is not what he wanted at all, Sam, as we see what happens as he comes through the final corner.
Oh, wow, I thought it may have been a start infringement, but no, he has actually put it in the wall and will pick up a faster pair going into the pits, but that's so frustrating. He had a great chance at winning this race after that terrific start, and instead it's Bart Daleman leading the way, his teammate, I believe, and well, look at that gap. He's been able to pull away from one of the strongest races last week, one of the strongest drivers last week, as we got a crash down the back straight, and
Paul Smith,
well, that's terrible to see. Robert Lundgren,
yeah,
and Paul Smith as well.
Yeah, Paul Smith and Robert Lundgren, 2 cars that started inside the top 10 coming to grief here. Let's see what happened. Here's a replay coming up now. We haven't. Did they get stuck together and off they go into the concrete wall? There's not much that you can do about that in terms of getting back to the pits. Both of them will surely have to tow back and get a fast repair because the cars will almost be certainly written off and not what they would have wanted at all. We did speak about Paul Smith at the beginning of the programme about how he would have liked to have got a few points on the board after having an okay race meeting at Watkins Glen, but now he's going to have to get a fast repair and hopefully get into a spot where he might be in contention for race 2. But Bart Daleman, he continues to lead. It's now Macaulay second, Hall third, 4th is Jamie Ayres, 5th is Simon Underhill, 6th is Palmer, then it's Lee Deemer, then Chris Wood, Jamie Rushworth, and it is Carl Janssen rounding out the top 10, and it's pretty ominous there, that top 10. Sam, we've got Ford and Porsches. The first Ferrari, it's all the way down in 12th place with Evdoka.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, isn't it? And I know. Oh, and off the circuit goes down Macaulay. And well, is that his chance of the race win over? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe picked up a little bit of damage as well. He got a decent run actually down that pit straight. And well, yeah, this is how it happened. Was pushing so hard, made a couple of mistakes trying to catch up to Bardell and just got on that curb. A little bit unusual for the car to react like that, and did well to recover.
Yeah, not often you see that happen. Now Macaulay is right on the rear of Michael Hall in the 112 car. Hall's had a good race so far. He's gained 5 positions. Danny Macaulay likewise has gained 3.
Or issue for Jamie Rushworth, I think.
Oh yeah, Jamie Rushworth in the CQR GT Omega car. He is right in the thick of it here. And he's got Chris Daines for company, he's got Dion Phillips, he's even got Mark Woodhouse, and it looks like he might just be recovering after something that may have happened at the start of the lap. Well, oh yeah, here's a replay, we're going to see what happened. Jamie Rushworth in the CQR GT car, former BSRTC champion. Here he goes, coming for the first corner, he's off. He tries to rejoin, but that grass is very slippery, and that wall is very hard, and it's clattered the left side of that Porsche, and hopefully it hasn't given him too much damage. Those concrete walls can be very unforgiving. But fortunately for Rushworth, it hasn't ruined his race, and if anything, he can now start to close back up as Johnny Brandon tries to look up the inside of the BSRTC champion. Chris Daines looking up the inside there of Christian Rose. Sorry, Christian Rose actually getting the move done on Chris Daines getting the move done on Christian Rose. Then it's Dion Phillips. He's in the action. He's gained 10 places up to 18th, and then Mark Woodhouse has gained 4 to 19th. And Johnny Brandon in 20th place as this battle rages on going through the kinks.
Yeah, so competitive, these drivers. Brandon struggled to make his way up. Of course, Josh Thompson in 15th place. Of course, the driver who kind of pushed off Jamie Rushworth in the first place was Carl Janssen, who's up into 7th place now as Johnny Brandon once again another off. And another driver off there. I'm not quite sure who that was who he had the incident with.
Here we go, it's up the inside. It's one of the Team Mad cars. A bit of a bump and run there. Nothing that car 113 could do about that at all. That was poor Ben Gregory in the Fitzpatrick Motorsports car. He couldn't do anything about that, and neither could Johnny Brandon really. A slight nudge in the rear, and both of them going off at Canada corner. So, disaster for those guys, and they've had to watch the whole pack go by. Fastest lap of the race on the last lap was by this guy, Carl Janssen. He's up to 8th, he's gained 10 positions. You've just seen the back end of one of his moves, he's just got past Chris Wood. So he's made it into double figures now, and next up are 2 Pro-Am drivers. That won't mean they make it any easier for him. They'll be going for as much positions as they can. But good start from Carl Janssen. Make that Chris Wood though, he's up the inside going into turn 5. The Porsche versus the Ford. And this is going to go right to the top of the hill here. This could be interesting. Let's see if that Porsche flies up the inside. He's just about leaved him the space. And Ben Hackerson has a fantastic view of that duel going on. But now here comes Michael Evdoka. He might fancy his chances going into the left-hander. Thinks better of it as he tries to mount an assault on the Ford GT in front of him. But these are all for positions inside the top 10. And now Carl Janssen, here he is. He's got a fantastic view of Lee Diemer and Simon Underhill battling over 6th and 7th. Nomad Sim Racing versus Simmortal Dragon Internet. And Carl Janssen here in the core car going through the kink. We'll see if he can start to close in on the fighting Pro-Am duo in front.
Yeah, Janssen's got a few points to recover after round 1 of the championship. And he's certainly doing that today. Undoubtedly the fastest driver out there, I think. Maybe Setsas, I think, was quite similar to him on pace. It was just annoying that, because he struggled in qualifying as Janssen goes past Chris Wood there. And that was a bit odd there from Wood. Seemed really slow out that corner, maybe pick up a slowdown earlier on in the lap because he's now losing more positions.
Yeah, because before that, Janssen was trying to get past Diemer and Underhill, so Chris Wood hasn't had the best lap there. Someone's going pretty slow. Is that I think that might be a lapped Paul Smith that they've just gone by there, going into the first corner. And the gap's at the front then. It's 0.3 of a second Delman's lead. Oh, it's about half a second actually over Michael Hall. And it's 0.2 of a second back to Daniel McCauley. Then 0.8 of a second back to Jamie Ayres in 4th. Then Ben Palmer 5th. Underhill, Diemer, and then Janssen. So here's Janssen again as we come down the straight. You can see that Bart Delman isn't really escaping from Michael Hall. Is the Belgian going into the left-hander at the end of the straight. Is there different characteristics between the Ford and the Porsche, Sam? Is one quicker down the straight and one quicker in the corners? Is that something that we might be looking out for in the next 2 races?
Well, I know that the Ferrari 488 is particularly fast with its top-end speed, so I think at Daytona it's the fastest car because it's long straights and kind of slow speed corners. I'm not sure about the Ford and the Porsche though, but they are, you know, I know that they're relatively evenly matched at least, but I'm not quite sure what the strengths are, and of course these drivers will have different setups as well. I know the Ford, I think you have to run quite a bit of wing just to kind of get around the circuit. So even like tracks like Daytona and Monza, you have to run a kind of 4 out of 5 wing. Otherwise, you're really costing yourself a lot of time. Dillman did manage to pull about 1.5 seconds of gap. It's not 1.5 seconds anymore, as Michael Hall is getting closer and closer. Was really good through the traffic at Watkins Glen. And, well, he needs to get on with it because he's got a very fast Carl Janssen, only 3.5 seconds behind. And there's a few others, of course, very dangerous. If he can get this move done right away, then he might be able to pull away, whilst Daleman and Macaulay have their own fight.
You'll have noticed from the timing tell on the left-hand side that Carl Janssen has now split those 2 Pro-Am cars he was trying to get by earlier. He's now up into 7th place. Here come the front 3 over the line again. Daniel Macaulay was the quickest out of the trio on the last lap. You can see in the background Ben Palmer is having to put up some sort of defence as well in the fight for best of the rest, in the fight for 4th. We'll have a look at that now as we go through the first corner. The 2 Ford GTs behind of Ayres and Underhill, and then make that a 3rd Ford GT of Carl Janssen, all eyeing that 4th spot, and in particular Janssen, because he knows if he can get by these guys pretty sharpish, he might fancy his chances of invading that front 3 and getting a spot on the podium. Down the back straight we go, looking at Carl Janssen. He's got past one of them. He might try and get past Simon Underhill, under braking into turn 5. There's space on the outside, but will he be able to get it done? That's good driving by Underhill. He's had every right to do that, and it's now allowed his teammate, Jamie Ayres, to get up the inside under the Corvette bridge. And that's just going to be a little bit of a setback for Carl Janssen, because he thought he disposed of one of the Nomad Sim Racing cars. He's now got to get by both of them again, Sam.
Well, he's going to go for every move as once again goes down the inside of the number 27 car now. He'll be on the outside of this one. That could be advantageous because it's where the rubber isn't. And, well, easy there for Carl Janssen. He made that look, yeah, super comfortable. And he has now made that move back on Jamie Ayres with the way that Janssen's driving. He's just trying to go for a move every single corner. And arguably, I guess you could say going around the outside at turn 5 wasn't the wisest thing to do. But now he's, yeah, back on the charge. 3.8 seconds off the lead. I think that's a little bit far away. But maybe a podium could be possible. He just needs to get past Underhill, Palmer and Macaulay.
Bit of a Larry moment there for Lee Deemer. Very nearly allowed Chris Wood through into 8th position. Wood sitting in 9th in the Small Time Racing car. Highest Small Time Racing car in the field, of course, after what happened to Paul Smith at the start of the race. Behind him it's Ben Hackerson, and Michael Evdoka, Jake Blackall, Sindre Setsas, Josh Thompson, the race 1 winner, currently in 14th place. Only 6 positions gained for Tomo. But here's the battle for the lead. Into the first corner, it is Michael Hall that is now in the lead. Danny Macaulay is now in 2nd. And Bart Daleman is down to 3rd position. The Belgian has lost the first, not just first, he's lost 2nd place as well. And it is a Porsche leading, a Porsche 2nd, and a Ford GT in 3rd place. Let's see what happened then. It looked like it was going to be, it was done before the even got to the final corner, Sam. This is, we're back to live actually here. Let's see if we can get it back on a replay. Looks like it might, oh, it looks like it was done before we even got to the first corner. Don't think we're going to be able to go back far enough, Sam, but either way, Michael Hall now leads. 2nd is Daniel Macaulay, 3rd is Bart Daleman, 4th is Ben Palmer, and Carl Janssen, he's now cleared both of the Nomad cars. He is 2 seconds away from the front 3, and he's got just under 7 minutes to get it done. So we're going to see now proper hot lap stuff from Carl Janssen if he wants to try and win this race.
Yeah, he will certainly catch up to the top 3. That is a massive gaggle just fine. Look at this. They have been too wide for pretty much the entire lap so far. Absolutely incredible. Almost off the circuit and now going to spin. And when there's so many cars like that, it's bound to involve others. And fortunately, there was only a couple. Ben Hackerson, the was unlucky. I think it was Jake Blackall, the original spinner. And well, that was quite some scenes right there, going 2 by 2, about 4 deep there in this race, and wow, that's quite incredible. And now the top 4 out in the lead. Daleman struggling to keep up with the top 2, is he? Because the Sim Racers World GT champion, of course, he can catch on Apex Racing TV, is the defending champion in that series. So he's very good in the GT cars. Dan Macaulay is now going to go for the lead. A little bit of a late move there from Michael Hall. He wants to defend going down the inside, but Macaulay might be able to muscle his way round here. and almost spinning on the inside. Is there going to be contact between the two of them? Leaving nothing on the table there was Michael Hall. Macaulay will pull ahead, and yeah, it's now ahead of Michael Hall, but of course the privateer will have the advantage down this next straight, the CQR driver, sorry.
Porsche 1, 2, 3 now. Ben Palmer, you'll have noticed, has got past Bart Delman. I wonder if Palmer can get involved in this battle. We've got just under 5 minutes to go. Into the left hand at the end of the back straight. Hall trying to get a move done around the outside. Ask Carly Hansen, he'll tell you that one doesn't work, and it's going to allow Ben Palmer to get up the inside under the Corvette bridge. Ben Palmer in the CQR GT car takes second place. Bart Delman now fancies his chances of getting back involved as well. Carly Hansen on that last lap did a 2:01.4. That was quicker than everybody else in front of him on that previous tour of the circuit. When we get to the line, we're probably going to have about 2 laps to go. So not too much longer in this race, but plenty of opportunity for Carly Hansen to make up some ground, as this front four could be about to be put under pressure as Danny Macaulay runs very wide on the exit of the carousel. This could be Ben Palmer's opportunity. He's already taken 1 place away from a driver on this lap in Michael Hall. Could he make it 2? We're about to find out as we go towards Canada Corner. Up the inside goes the CQR GT car. Oh, Macaulay outbrakes himself, goes off, and hands the position to Ben Palmer and Michael Hall and Bart Delman. Could he even fall further than that? No, he doesn't, but he's right under pressure now from Carly Hansen, and it looks like he just outbrakes himself going into Canada Corner, Sam, there.
Yeah, I was under so much pressure. He felt the need to have to brake super late. Does just allow Ben Palmer to make a bit of a gap, but of course now in the slipstream all these drivers are going to be able to catch back up on one another. Now Janssen is going to go for the move. Interesting that the top three seem to be giving Macaulay the slipstream. Not anymore, and that might just be what Janssen needs because he's so confident out on this circuit. Sure, he's going to go around the outside. Yes, he is almost contact once again. Of course, Macaulay was fighting for the lead at this point on the last lap. Oh. Not anymore, as he goes back down the inside of Carl Janssen. They're both losing each other a lot of time, and maybe Janssen will have the better run out to the corner and should move up into 4th place.
Look how much time they've lost there, but what fantastic racing it was between those two. Daniel Macaulay, proper fighter there, and he still hasn't given up as he gets on the brakes in the CQR Sim Sports car. Is he going to make the corner? No, he just about does. But Daniel Macaulay has to give up the ghost, and through goes Carly Hansen up into 4th place. That Ford GT very squirrely under braking there as they went under the Corvette bridge. Now he's got to focus and close what is a 0.8 of a second gap to Bart Delman in front of him. And that is something he should be able to make up. On that last lap he did a 2:01.5. That was still quicker than everybody else in front of him. Wonder what his lap time will be this time, as he had to have that little bit of a battle with Daniel Macaulay in the CQR Sim Sports car. To show you how close it is, we have got the team names here for you. It's CQR GT in first, then it's a privateer in second in Michael Hall, then it's Nomad Sim Racing in third with Bart Delman, then it's Core in 4th with Carl Janssen. We'll get that changed at some point. Daniel Macaulay in 5th for CQR Sim Sports, then it's the 2 Nomad cars in 6th and 7th. And then it's Simmortal Dragon Internet in 9th and Sindre Sexas in 10th. So that's what's going on there. Car in the wall. 3 cars in the wall. It's Macaulay. Cars. Daniel Macaulay. It hasn't been the best of laps for him. And this is why. Here we go. Here's a replay. Oh, up the inside goes the Nomad car. And then, then the other one just takes Macaulay out. So... And then a few other cars arrive around the corner blind. Everybody has to scatter. And fortunately, nobody else gets hit. Danny Macaulay. This is what happened to Ben Hackerson at Watkins Glen. And then he decides to go on the gravel to do a bit of a spin turn. I'm hoping that works out okay for Daniel Macaulay. That didn't work out too well, that spin turn, if that's what it was. Either way, we're on to the final lap of the race. And it's Ben Palmer leading Michael Hall, then Bart Delman. And now Carly Hansen, who's right onto the rear of that Nomad Sim Racing car of Bart Delman.
Yeah, Palmer's done incredibly well to pull away from the rest of the drivers. Janssen's going to get a podium here. He might even get 2nd place if he can get a move on. But he's not going to win this race, I believe, as another car just off in the grass there. And yeah, Janssen, so he's got 0.7 of a second to catch up to Hall. Well, if he's going to pull it off, it's going to be a last corner lunge, I think. But it looks as though CQR GT Racing's Ben Palmer is well on course for his first race victory of the season. This is just incredible from Janssen. How he can just take chunks of time out of these drivers through each individual corner. And if he had one more lap, I don't have much doubt that he'd win this race. But this being the last one, and with only 15 seconds to go, it looks as though second place is as good as it's going to get.
Indeed it does. What a great evening it's been for CQR so far. It was Josh Thompson that took the victory in race 1 in the CQR Racehub car. It's going to be CQR GT that's going to take the win as long as Ben Palmer can make it back to the line. 0.6 of a second is the gap between him and Hall. And it's 0.3 of a second back to Janssen in third. Janssen, it has been a spirited performance by the Swede, but it's not going to be enough to get the win. It's going to be pretty close to second though. Ben Palmer though, what a result for him. He wasted no time getting to the front and he's going to flash the lights. Ben Palmer wins the second race of the day here in the World GT Championship at Road America. Michael Hall second, Carl Janssen a fantastic drive to third. Sindre Setsas and Josh Thompson, they were first and second in race 1. They were 5th and 6th here in race 2. Dion Phillips, one of the biggest movers, 18 places gained to finish in 10th. Here comes Mike Gray in the XVR Silver car, 24 places gained to finish in 16th. A great job there from Mike Gray. Also gaining 24 positions is this man, Steve Burke. The Porsche is going to cross the line on what looks like fumes. I don't know whether he was out of fuel there. Steve Burke takes 24th place, 24 positions gained. And everybody else streaming across the line now, Sammers. A great result for the CQR team so far. They've taken victories in both of the races that we've had tonight.
Yeah, they showed great pace in qualifying last week and in the pre-season meeting as well. But in the races, at least at Watkins Glen, they seem to just trail off a little bit. Apart from Thompson, the others seem to just fall behind some of the rival teams. But today, they certainly seem to be the top of everyone. And yeah, it's great to see. And well, we'll wait and see if they can make it 3 out of 3 later on.
Indeed we will. We've got one more race to go after this. And it's been a classic so far, this race meeting. We had Watkins Glen last week. Absolute carnage there. And it's been a really enticing evening of World GT action here at Road America. We are still waiting for a few cars to actually finish the race, I think. There's Jason Rowe. He's crossed the line. I think we might be waiting for cars even further down the field. Here is Luke Clark. He's got Chaz Draycott behind him, who I think is a lap behind, so he won't have to worry about too much about Chaz, one of our colleagues here at Apex Racing TV. Over the line goes Clark. He does get that 41st place, and I think that is everybody else. So we finally got everybody across the line. We can now cut away, just as something was going on there under braking, and we can bring you up the race results. And it is a race victory for car 1 in P1 for Ben Palmer. Michael Hall second, Carl Janssen third, 4th for Bart Delman, 5th for Sindre Setsas, then Josh Thompson 6th, 7th Christian Rose, 8th for Lee Deemer, 9th Ross McFarlane, and 10th for Dion Phillips. 11th for Chris Daines, 12th for Ben Hackerson. 13th place, the second of the AM drivers, is Simon Underhill. Mark Woodhouse just behind him in 14th. Jamie Ayres in 15th, 16th Mike Gray. Then Ronald Moons, the Belgian, in 17th. Then 18th Michael Evdoka. And then moving on further back, we've got Jeroen Kaiser, the Dutchman, in 19th place. Adam Hedgecock 20th. 21st for Lars Van Ryn. Johnny Brandon in 22nd, fighting back in the end in the XVR Black car. Stuart Atkinson 23rd, then Steve Burke, then David White in the CQR Sim Sports car in 25th. Michael Blake for Simmortal 26th, completing a quartet of Pro-Am drivers. Then Daniel McCauley 27th. Andy Shield, car 007 in 28th. James Underhill 29th, and Jamie Rushworth, he saw he'd ran into trouble going through the exit of turn 1. It looks like things didn't improve after that. I wonder if something was wrong with the handling, because it meant that car 3 finished in 30th. Morgan Butler 31st, 32nd for Lee Woodburn. Then John Roberts, the pole sitter, he ran into the wall on the exit of the final corner on the opening lap of the race, and had to pit for a fast repair, managed to get 33rd place as a result. Then Scott Malcolm, Jason Rowe, Anthony Jacobson there in 36th place, Steve Lavallee, then Chris Wood, Luke Clark in 39th place, then Robert Lundgren in the boosted car, the last car on the lead lap. Then the cars one lap down or more. Lane O'Connor 41st, Jake Blackhall getting into that skirmish on the exit of the carousel. Paul Smith, he went off the circuit at that very spot there on the camera. That is down the back straight. He and Ben Gregory both finishing 1 lap down. Chaz Draycott we saw there getting towed back around the circuit. Max Spooner, he was one of the cars that we saw the leaders lapping with a few laps to go. He finished in 46th. Then Josh Rayfield, Richard Warmingham, and Rusty Laidler didn't take part in that one. I don't think he was in the pit lane when the race got underway, and he didn't make it out onto the circuit. If he did, it was for a very short time indeed.
Yes, and of course, in race after race 1, we saw 20 car reverse. If it's 20 cars again, Adam Hedgecock, who actually missed out on the spot by 2 places last time, hopefully it will be 20 because, you know, he fully deserves it. But yeah, we're about to find out.
Indeed we are. Yeah, as Sam was just saying there, 20 cars reversed. It was John Roberts on the pole. Don't think it's going to be him this time, only because the reverse grid wheel is done in even numbers, so anybody that finishes in the odd place won't be in with a shout. And we will get the reverse grid up in a second, and we'll find out who's going to be on pole for the final race of the day here in the World GT Championship. All is set to go. Here is the wheel, and let's spin it and see who's going to be on the front of the grid. Oh, well, it was very nearly 18. It's going to be 22, Sam. So who's that going to be on the pole for race 3?
Ooh, Johnny Brandon.
Oh,
Driver who's had quite a disappointing day so far with a, well, it was like a 16th and a 22nd, I think. He'll be on pole position. Stuart Atkinson, who gained 21 places, he'll really be wishing it was 22 because he's missed out by 1 place. Similarly, Steve Burke gained 24 places. He wished it was 26 because he's missed out by 2 places, but alongside Brandon on the front row will be Lars Van Rijn, Adam Hedgecock, Ewan Kaiser, and Michael Abdoka.
yeah, so 22 cars reversed. And yeah, that will mean it will be Johnny Brandon on the pole. So yeah, we're looking forward to the third and final race of the day. It's going to be coming up in a moment here on the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be back after this break, and we'll be getting set for what has all the makings of being another thrilling race around Elkhart Lake Road America here in the United States. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Apex Racing TV, getting set for the final race of the day here in the World GT Championship. The iRacing Esports Network, in fact. Thanks to everybody that's tuned in tonight. And make sure to give also the iRacing Esports Network a subscribe as well, and turn on your post notifications so that you are aware of when we are live. And there'll be plenty of action coming up over the next few days as well on the iRacing Esports Network, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Adam Bath here with Sam Fitzpatrick, bringing you all the action here tonight. It is now late afternoon conditions for the final race of the day, and Sam, after a 22 car reverse grid draw in the reverse grid wheel, is going to be Johnny Brandon that starts on the pole position. Talk us through the rest of the grid.
Yes, it's him on pole position. Of course, Joey, he's had so much success. I did say earlier on, I'm picking Johnny up a lot. Of course, he is leading the BSR Radical Series as well, and the Euro V8 Supercar Series. So he is very strong, whilst this season so far for him hasn't been particularly smooth. I'm sure this is an opportunity to get back on straight and narrow, as Lars Van Rijn will start alongside him. Adam Hedgecock starts in third. There's Ewan Kaiser in fourth. Michael O'Docker dropped down near the end of race 2. He's been quite quick though today. So maybe watch out for him in fifth. Ronald Means starts in sixth. There's Mike Gray, who had a great drive from near the back of the grid in race 2. Watch out for him in seventh. Then it's Jamie Ayres, Mark Woodhouse, Simon Underhill, Ben Hackerson, Chris Daines, Dion Phillips, Ross McFarlane, Lee Deemer, Christian Rose. First of the really quick guys. Then it's Josh Thompson, Sinjay Setsas. Those three are going to be very competitive. Bart Delman, Carl Janssen, Michael Hall, Ben Palmer running up the top 22. Of course, won race 2. Stuart Atkinson just about missed out, so too did Steve Burke. Then David White, Michael Blake, Dan McCauley, of course, was fighting for that race 2 victory. Ended up far from it in 27th. There's Andy Shield, Jamie Rushworth, and Morgan Butler running up the top 30. And then behind that, it's Woodburn, Roberts, Malcolm, Roy, Jacobson, Lavelli, Wood, Clark, Lundgren, Blackhall, Smith, Gregory, Jaycott, Spooner, Rayfield, Warringham, and Lader. Lost a couple of drivers, down to only 47. How are we going to cope? I'm sure it's still going to be very action-packed.
Yeah, I just don't see where the action's going to be for this one. Yeah, 47 cars, bumper-sized field in the World GT Championship as always, and we mentioned at the beginning of the programme, this is after a Daytona 24-hour race that took place at the weekend, and they are still coming back. This championship is one of the biggest leagues going at the moment, along with the BSR TC and other series like that, and this could be interesting for the third and final race of the day. We have got Brandon on the pole, then Rin, Hedgecock, Kaiser and Evdoka as they go through the carousel now. One thing we have noticed, Sam, today is that even though we've been getting, in comparison to other series, pretty small reverse grids, like 20 and 22, the guys starting in the midfield, like Josh Thompson and that, they haven't been able to get up to the podium. They have been able to crack the top 10, but they just haven't had enough time to get that little bit further forward to gate crash the podium.
Yeah, and if it would be quite incredible if Kai Janssen can't win a race today. I'm sure 3 podiums he will probably take, but he has undoubtedly been the fastest driver in the races. He thoroughly deserves a race victory. He does start this Monday from 20th place, so that's going to be a tough effort. And of course, he's going to have to pass the likes of Thompson and Setsas if he's going to win this race, along with Christian Rose as well. But yeah, those top drivers, a couple of drivers out of position, I think particularly Brandon, Evdoka and Gray as well, will be very quick in this one. So they might be able to run away with it themselves. I seriously doubt it, because they are going to be hard charging the drivers starting outside the top 15.
Here we go then. Can't wait for this. You can see the sun has started to set, and I wonder how dark it could be by the time we get to the end of this race meeting. If anything, as you can see the cars coming through the final corner, the headlights are almost starting to be a bit more powerful than the natural lights as we come through the final corner. John Roberts timed his start to perfection last time in race 2. Let's see what's going to happen this time. Johnny Brandon is pretty much, now he puts his foot to the floor. Johnny Brandon accelerates away. What a start by Adam Hedgecock, I think, in the middle. It might be Jerome Kaiser, in fact. Green lights are on, and we're racing for the final race of the day at Road America. Kaiser getting into second place straight away as we go into the first corner. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody else fares. Kaiser takes that second place. Oh, Brandon spins. Kaiser goes with him. Into the lead goes Michael Evdoka. Adam Hedgecock is in second place as well. Mark Woodhouse third. Oh, more cars off. This could end in disaster. It's a Team Ad car. Collected is car 93, Christian Rose. There's a core car caught up in it as well. That's Sindre Setsas, the runner-up from race 1. Everybody scatters. Setsas gets forced off the track again. There's a Porsche car 97 struggling for grip. And what a mess, Sam. What a mess to start the race. The front two on the grid, Kaiser and Johnny Brandon, both gone by the time we get out of the first corner.
Yeah, pretty incredible how on earth Johnny managed to drop that one, and of course then the drivers in turn 3 collecting one another. And yeah, that really does open up this race for Michael Evdoka. Any other big games? Ben Hackerson is up 7 places and may even be up 8 now. Yes, he is up into the top 3 trying to get past Mike Gray, but Gray defending well. This is the front of kind of the first big train in this field, because the top 2 have sprinted away from the rest of the field. Quite incredible circumstances. I've been bigging up these drivers, how good their race starts to be, and then it all turns into a bit of a calamity right at the end of the evening. And this battle right now is so important. If you can get to the front of this field, these guys might be able to put some pressure on the top 2, but as it is right now, they are just fighting amongst each other and falling further and further back.
Chris Danes right in the mix already, 7 positions gain there. He is. Mike Gray blinking in and out a little bit. Ronald Moons not too far behind either. Look at one of the Fords. That is Carl Janssen also in the mix. He was one of the cars that must have survived all that. His teammate in Sindre Setsas definitely did not. And as we come over the line to complete the opening lap, a lot of gains, particularly in the midfield, have gone on there. Everybody cold brakes and tyres after the warm-up lap, trying their best to slow down going into turn 3. But for some, it just didn't happen. And shades of Melbourne 2002, really. Cars just getting on the grass, trying to avoid what's going on and ending up causing even more carnage. There's the order then at the end of the opening lap. It's Michael Evdoka that leads, Adam Hedgecock second. Chris Danes could be up into 4th place here because Mike Gray has ran a little bit deep going into turn 3, and it's going to allow the Northern Lights Racing GT Omega car through and up into 4th position. 8 positions gained. Mike Gray disappears, but he's now appeared behind. And now our attention has to turn to a little bit further back, because here comes Sindre Setsas. Sorry, not Setsas, it's Carl Janssen trying to get around the outside of the Nomad Sim Racing car. He tried this in race 2, it didn't work, and it looks like it might just work this time, Sam. Yeah,
brilliant racing here from Janssen, trying to make his way through the field. Was so competitive in race 1 and 2, of course, and yeah, he's now made that one stick, so up 13 places from his starts. Sorry, Evdoka just went down my order for a second. I was starting to panic, but no, he's absolutely fine in the lead. Dima having to defend from Woodhouse as well. Once again, the tail end of the top 10 is always so competitive. There's always a great battle going on, but sometimes we just have to turn our attention away from it because the lead can be so tight. As, yeah, Dima under big pressure, and of course just falling back from the drivers ahead currently.
On board with Lee Dima as we go through the kink now through this quick straight towards Canada corner. You can see the Ferrari there of McFarlane looking up the inside, going to take the position, sent it and did it to perfection there, did Ross McFarlane. Through he goes into 10th place, he cracks the top 10 and demotes Mark Woodhouse back to 11th place. Great view there from the gearbox of the Porsche getting driven by Lee Dima in the Simmortal Dragon internet car. Just in front of him, it is getting pretty tasty between Carl Janssen and Ronald Moons. And it could be a move that's done before we get to the first corner. Ronald Moons in 6th, Janssen 7th. Those positions could change any second now as we go into the first corner. Up the inside goes the Ford of Janssen. And as long as he can make it through the first corner, which he duly does, then the Ford is up into 6th place. He got 3rd in race 2, Carl Janssen. He's up to 6th here in race 3. And we've still got just over 15 minutes to go in this one. So how far is the gap to the lead, you'll probably be wondering. The gap is 7.4 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see, Sam, if he can make that gap up as Hackerson and Hedgecock go into battle in the fight for second.
Yeah, I think Janssen maybe had about 0.75 of a second over Evdoka. So if there was no cars in the way, I think he could maybe put a challenge on. I think second's going to be as good as it gets, because now that Hackerson and Danes have got past Hedgecock, they might be able to pull away a little bit. And already Hackerson is streaking out ahead in second place as McFarlane has an off that's down at turn 6. And, well, it's a collision with another driver. Not sure, it's that Lee Deemer.
2, 3,
well,
4.
Whoever it was.
Yeah, it was Lee Deemer, yeah.
Yeah, seemed maybe Deemer was the one responsible for that, but of course it's difficult to see from the angle that I saw it from, at least. Maybe slowed a little bit on the apex, but either way, it hasn't benefited either of them.
Michael Evdoka then, we haven't really spoken about him, even though he is leading. He has a gap of 2, maybe even more than that actually. He has a 4.3 second advantage over Ben Hackerson in second. Did a 59.4 in that last lap. Granted, he was the only car on his own. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody else can trouble him now as the dirt gets kicked up in this second group. Over the line, Michael Evdoka does a 59.8. Evdoka comes across the line. Hackerson comes across the line. So what's he do? A 2:06. So Michael Evdoka is on it like a car bonnet here, 6 minutes into the race, and it's all about everybody else having to fend for themselves behind, as Mike Gray is now about to feel the heat of the boosted with Savage Gaming here of Adam Hedgecock, and he in turn has got Carl Janssen behind, who's gained 14 places, could be about to make it 15. All of a sudden it looks like the boosted car is now having to worry about the core car that is coming up behind.
Yeah, Hedgecock I think was in second place just a lap ago. He's going to be down into 6th soon, because there goes Janssen, so confident on the brakes, and you can see he still managed to carry so much speed through that corner. A different league it seems to Adam Hedgecock in this race at the moment. And, well, it's just a matter of time, isn't it, until he gets up to second place. Like I said before, first place is probably too far, but it's just incredible around this part of the circuit. He can make a move and still be making up tenths of a second through every single corner. Danes has got to get past Hackerson very soon, because otherwise he is going to be caught by Janssen as well. But of course, first for Janssen will be Mike Gray in the XVR Silver car. What a change of situation this has been for Gray after crashing out of race 1. He's fighting with Carl Janssen for 4th place in race 3.
Some stuff going on here. Yeah, Mike Gray, 3 positions gained, but helped by the reverse grid. Carl Janssen, though, he's making up ground hand over fist here. Last time around he did a 59.7. The only driver to lap quicker than Michael Evdoka on the previous lap, so the Fitzpatrick Motorsports car may have to turn his attentions to him if he starts to close the gap any further. Out of the final corner comes Carl Janssen. He's got 4th place in his sights. Mike Gray, the second of the Ferraris. And the second of the Ferraris might be about to be relegated to 5th place as Janssen looks up the inside going into the first corner. Gray disappears, he reappears again, and by the time he reappears you will have noticed that Carl Janssen has breezed by into 4th. The next target for Janssen is Chris Daines, who is 1.5 seconds up the road in the Porsche 911. So we'll see if Carl Janssen can gain some time on him. Last time around Janssen did a 59.6, a 2:03 for Chris Daines. So if you look at that, that's a gap of 7/10 distance of 7/10 of a second. If he can do that on this lap, it won't take him too long before he is right on the back of that Porsche, who's actually putting a bit of pressure on Ben Hackerson. So if Hackerson starts to defend a little bit, this will just only exasperate things, and Carl Janssen could close in even more. But no one's doing anything to trouble Michael Evdoka. The gap has now been extended to 5.25 seconds. He's doing a brilliant job at the front.
Yeah, Michael managed to win split 5 of the Daytona 24 Hours yesterday, and I know he's got quite a good setup on that car, so I think that's helping him along, very comfortable with it. As we just see a replay of Paul Smith. Unfortunately, I can't see this one, so you'll have to talk through this one, Adam. Yeah,
just going to have a look at what happened. It did say he went off the circuit. Oh, it's similar to what happened to John Roberts in race 2. He got wide on the exit of the final corner and went off to the wall. The car was already severely wrecked anyway, but yeah, that is what happened to Paul Smith. Stuart Atkinson has also jumped to the pits. Might just quickly see during this part of the race, see what happened to him. Here it is. I'm hoping we can find it. All we've got is trees. I don't think we have it, unfortunately. But yeah, Stuart Atkinson, that's the end result. He's jumped to the pits, he'll be getting a fast repair, and just as we see that, Michael Evdoka blasts by the pit lane to start lap 6 of the race, and the second half of the race as Ben Hackerson puts in a new personal best. Could this be the start of him closing the gap? Gap is now down to 4.8 seconds, but Chris Danes has done a 59.7, 59.4 by Carl Janssen. Half a second taken out. It's not like the 7 tenths from a few laps ago, but that gap is starting to close down a little bit now as Adam Hedgecock is off in the first corner. What's happened to the booster with Savage Gaming? Has he savaged the wall? We're about to find out. Here it is, a replay. He's got the Ferrari of Dion Phillips for company. Turns in. Maybe turns in a little bit too late. Maybe he was a bit offline and there was just no grip on the outside. Either way, the booster with Savage Gaming ends up tapping the tyre barrier and Hedgecock has to get going again. He's down to 17th place.
Yeah, 15 places lost just in the past 5 minutes or so, but he's a lot faster than, oh, I say a lot faster, he's quite equal pace with a lot of these drivers, so might be able to find himself back in the top 15 by the end of this. What a pack of cars this is. This goes all the way up to P9, Jamie Rushworth at the head of it, although I think pulling away from the majority of these guys. Just seen so many of these long trains of cars with the drivers, it takes so long just to go from the back of one of these packs to the front of them, because the overtaking isn't the easiest in the world. And once you go for a move and fail to pull it off, you're under so much pressure from the cars behind. They got to make absolutely sure of every move, so you can get kind of these big packs and race alongside the same drivers for the entire 20 minutes. And yeah, it's absolutely great to see, as Hackerson still fending off, to be fair, Chris Danes, but Carl Janssen now very much in that draft range.
It really is. We'll see what the lap time's like when they come across the line. Doka's just crossed it, does a 2-minute dead. Hackerson comes across the line and does a 59.5, and he's just disappeared actually. Hope that isn't the end of him. No, I think he's just appeared again, he says. Either way, Chris Danes is in second, Hackerson dropping down the order. Oh dear me, it surely is not a DQ. There he is again. Maybe just a quick Q bar or maybe a S bar or something, not too sure. But Ben Hackerson rejoins in second place after giving us a little bit of a worry. Shades of Watkins Glen with the safety car then potentially for a moment as he breaks dimensions. But Hackerson remains second, Danes third, just 4 tenths of a second behind. And then it's Janssen who is continuing to close the gap. In fact, last time around he put in a new fastest lap of the race, a 59.3. 3 tenths of a second quicker than Danes. Danes has upped the pace since Janssen got into 4th, but even then Janssen has still got an extra 2 or 3 tenths in the bank, and the core car, the core Ford, is starting to really start to close in. And Sam did mention he is within slipstream range, and Chris Danes is all of a sudden starting to find that he's getting in a tighter and tighter Ford sandwich here as we go through the carousel. And on towards the kink again as we have a look here at a battle for 21st place. This is between Luke Clark and Christian Rose. Richard Warmingham also involved in the mix here. And Warmingham is going to get passed around the outside. Clark is going to get passed around the outside by Warmingham. Warmingham up into 21st place. One of the biggest movers in the field, Sam here. He's gained 25 places since the start of the race and is now almost on the verge of the top 20.
Yeah, good effort from Richard out there for XVR. I didn't realise that Luke Clark actually joined XVR, so I had no idea about that. But maybe a little bit of team orders between those two, and probably the wise thing to do, because Richard does seem to be quite a bit fast. Next up, Christian Rose, who's had a very difficult day, but on that last lap was quite quick, so maybe had a spin earlier on, probably got caught up in that melee, which was turn 3. As we turn our attention back to this battle, Ayres having to defend from Macaulay. Is there space on the inside? Ayres not fending off too much. Maybe feeling as though the inevitable is going to happen. Although, well, that's not how he's driving right now, because he's going to go round the outside. Great battles you can get through turn 1 with the outside Joe desperately trying to get back on the circuit. You can get the same through turn 2 as well. Ayres having to try to get the cutback now, and we'll have a great run. Michael Blake and Andy Shield and Chris Wood as well all get closer as well. Of course, Blake and Wood fought out the BSR Simmortal Porsche Cup title around this circuit in a fantastic duel, with Wood coming out on top. Blake trying to finish on top of this one though. And he's down the inside of Jamie Ayres. And Ayres though, with the ideal line, and should be able to hold it on the inside through the next kink.
Fantastic battle this, going out on that side of the top 10. Andy Shield or Chris Wood all trying to get involved. Chris Danes though in third place. You can see the gap has come down. It's now 3/10 of a second. In fact, the gap for the lead is coming down as well. Hackerson's got it to 3.3 seconds. We've completed 15.5 minutes of this final race. When we get to the line, we're probably going to be getting about 2 laps to go. So it's going to have to take a mammoth effort, I think, from Ben Hackerson to get to the lead. I think even for Carl Janssen, who's currently sitting in 4th place, even with the pace that he has shown in this one, I think it's going to be too much of an ask for him to trouble Michael Evdoka, unless he makes a mistake, of course, as Chris Danes makes a bit of a half mistake there going for the penultimate corner. He's now got definitely got Carl Janssen up the rear of his Porsche as we come out of the final corner. Over the top of the hill, Janssen ducks to the outside. He's going to appear on the left-hand side any moment, surely, as they come across the line. There he is. Ford versus Porsche here going into the first corner. Is Danes going to be late on the brakes? Yes, he is. And he's going to try and hold it out around the outside. Oh, Janssen very nearly tries to get the cut back on him there going through turn 1. As they go into turn 3, it is the Porsche that has the 3rd position for now anyway, as Danes runs out onto the rumble strips, and now Janssen has the opportunity to try and get the move done into turn 5, which he has tried before.
Well, I'm sure anyone who has OCD will be rooting for Janssen here to get his third place of the evening. And it's looking strong for him at the moment. Round the outside goes the Ford driver. He's lost out a couple of times round this corner already today. And once again, he does. I'm sure he's going... Oh, he nearly loses it. That's a great save there from Carl Janssen. I was about to say, I'm sure he's going to get that 3rd place. I wasn't so sure about 5 seconds ago because he dipped a wheel onto the grass. But that is a miraculous save. And bound to heat up the tyres. Got to be careful for a few corners, but he's going to be able to reload that attack for the pit straight. I have no doubt.
Indeed he is. We'll wait and see on that one. Further back, Dion Phillips is closing in on Mike Gray. Gray's had a pretty good evening, pretty good race 3, I should say. Sat in 5th position for XVR Silver, but now Dion Phillips, who's gained 7 positions, wants to try and make it 8. And Mike Gray, he'll still be pretty happy with where he's going to finish as long as he stays on the circuit, because if you look at the AM contenders, he's in 5th, Ronald Moons is in 7th, so even if he does get passed by Ronald Moons, Gray will still remain as the top AM driver in this 3rd and final race, as long as he doesn't slip off the road before then. But Phillips, he hasn't got to worry about any cars behind, so he can afford to take his time a little bit. One driver whose time is running out is Carl Janssen. We're on the final lap of the race now, just about. And the Ford is now going to try the outside this time. No, he isn't. He's going to try and sell him the dummy, but Danes is wise to that move.
We might actually get one more after this one. All the races so far today have been 10 laps long, but with the slightly cooler track conditions and Evdoka absolutely lighting up the circuit, we might just be able to get one more after this one. That's not how Carl Janssen will be thinking though, because he's got to get this one done ASAP. He's 3 seconds now off P2, he's 6 seconds off the lead, but now it's all about just making that podium, scoring a few more points, getting on the rostrum for the 3rd time today. Round the outside, again he goes, and he's not interested in staying all the way round the outside. He's interested in picking up the mistakes like that from Chris Danes, but the mistake wasn't big enough. And through this part of the circuit, he may be able to go for an overtake, but it's so difficult to follow and to pick your apexes when you're right up the gearbox of your opponent.
Oh, that was very close there by Danes going through the 90-degree left-hander. You are right, it is going to be very close indeed whether we're going to get one more lap in here. Such has been the pace set by Michael Evdoka at the front of the field. But Carl Janssen, he'll be eager, he'll be desperate to make it 3 rostrums in an evening. He'll obviously be a bit sad that he hasn't been able to get the win, but 3 trophies, not to be sniffed at here. This could be the final opportunity for him to get the position though. Chris Danes blocks the inside, he locks the brake. Has he gone too deep into Canada corner? just about, but I think he might just be able to hold on to it. The wide forward trying to get a move done around the outside, but there is just no way through. Where is Michael Evdoka on the circuit? We have got 4 seconds to go. I think he might even be slowing down a little bit just so we can get the checker flag in. I think that's what he's doing. Michael Evdoka makes it a win for Fitzpatrick Motorsports and a win in the final race of the day here in the World GT Championship. Ben Hackerson gets second. Drag race to the line.
Oh, Janssen got it, I think.
Oh, well, the live time.
No.
Danes by 6 thousandths. Yeah, by 6 thousandths of a second. What a finish that was. What a great run to the line between those two. And what a great duel that was between the Northern Lights Racing GT Omega car and the core car. Other cars now coming across the line in similar fashion. Just up the road, that was Chris Wood and the Ford there of Andy Shield, the CQR Sim Sports car.
1/1000th between Shield and Wood. Wow, what a finish. And we've seen over the years around this circuit, drivers running out of fuel down here, but some great finishes here. Josh Rayfield finishing decent there in 23rd place. And yeah, just a few others filing through. Well, it wasn't exactly the same race as Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen was absolute anarchy, but I think in terms of the racing, that was probably higher quality. And just as I say that, we have total destruction across the start-finish line. They're not going to make it, although they are going to try to make it. The Nomad Sim Racing car, oh, he's hit the wall there. The 27
Has he crossed the line? He hasn't, has he?
Yes. No, has he missed out? And Ewan Kaiser will get it.
Yeah. I've known... Oh, there we go. Talladega Nights. Oh, no, he runs across the line in that. I'm thinking of something else. Oh, yeah. Sharon Kaiser finishes in 39th with Jamie Ayres 40th. Paul Smith, in the end, has come across the line to take 41st, and I think that is it. Everybody has now come across the line, and well, we'll dissect what has been another fantastic meeting of World GT action after we get the results up. Second race meeting in the books, and next week, race 3 of the season, we'll be heading to. I think we'll be leaving America after this. We are heading. Oh no, we're staying in America. We're heading to the East Coast. We're heading to Florida for Sebring. That should be good. Another old school North American racetrack. That'll be this time next week at 8 GMT on the iRacing Esports Network. But first, we've got the results to get through, and hopefully we'll have some drivers available that are willing to talk to us. Michael Evdoka then wins, Ben Hackerson second, Chris Danes third, Carly Janssen finishes in fourth, Dion Phillips fifth, Mike Gray, the top AM driver, finishing in sixth, Jamie Rushworth seventh, then Ronald Moons, Ben Palmer, and Mark Woodhouse rounding up the top 10. 3 Pro-Am drivers inside the top 10 today. Daniel McCauley in 11th, 12th Andy Shield is CQR Sim Sports teammate, just 0.02 of a second between Shield and Wood in that dash to the line. Josh Thompson in 14th place, the race 1 winner. Then 2 Pro-Am drivers, 2 boosted with Savage Gaming teammates, in fact. John Roberts and Adam Hedgecock. Then Christian Rowe 17th, Richard Warmingham finishing in 18th place. And then a side of the table pretty much dominated by Pro-Am drivers. Luke Clark 19th, Michael Hall 20th. Then 4 Pro-Am drivers made up of Laidler, Draycott having a good race there, Josh Rayfield and Michael Blake. Then Steve Lavallee, Bart Delman and Sindre Setsas, all 3 of them pretty much recovering from the mess of the first 2 corners. And then a flurry of Pro-Am drivers. Morgan Butler, Lars Van Ryn, Jason Rowe, Steve Burke, David White, Lee Woodburn finishing in 33rd, then Max Spooner, Robert Lundgren, Anthony Jacobson, and then the rest of the field made up of Scott Malcolm, Ross McFarlane, Euron Kaiser, just finishing ahead of Jamie Ayres, who had to reverse across the line. Paul Smith in 41st, Simon Underhill 42nd, and then the cars had issues during the race. Ben Gregory out, Lee Deemer also, Stuart Atkinson, Johnny Brandon, the car that he had the pole position and then he lost it going through the first corner. Then Jake Blackhall also getting involved in CQR Tarkov car. I think he was one of the Porsches that was off in turn 3. So problems for him in both race 2 and race 3 today for the Aussie, who finishes in 47th place. Right then, we do have 2 drivers waiting to talk to us. We've got Josh Thompson and Chaz Draycott. We'll bring in our race 1 winner first in Josh Thompson.
Right, around the outside of the last corner.
Oh, there he is. Is this why I should move them into the general group?
Yes.
Josh, obviously raced in the World GT, not in the World GT, in the Daytona 24 Hours at the weekend. Now racing in the World GT Championship today. You can't escape this GT racing. How was it? How was it for you today?
Frustrating, really. Like the Ford, since it's had that BOP, everyone thought it wouldn't be too bad, but now it's just destroyed the car, really. So it was a bit of a struggle all night, especially in race 2. Had no pace at all. So I was quite happy to finish where I did due to all the incidents, just kept on the track. But yeah, overall, a bit miffed about what happened in the last race.
Yeah, race 1 though, it started off well. Managed to get a win in race 1, but after that, yeah, not going too well. But what was it like in racing in the different conditions? Can you really now tell? Does the car handle differently across the 3 races due to the different conditions?
Yeah, you now notice the car strength in each. So race 2, the Porsche had exceptional traction and grip. Race 1, I'd say it was quite a Ferrari weather. And then race 3, it was kind of a 4-wheel because it was quite cold. It gave the Ford that rotation back, which it missed in race 1 and 2, I felt, with the weather, how it was. So it makes it different. It just spices it up a little bit.
It has been a mammoth weekend of GT racing for you. When are you next going to be in the car?
Hopefully I'm done for the week now. That's the plan. I obviously had Daytona 24, so I did 10 hours something of that. The CQR. Then obviously I was doing Pro GT qualifiers the same weekend at Brands Hatch. So I was doing that on top of the 24. So yeah, after tonight I'm done for a few days. I'm taking a break.
What car are you currently racing in the Pro GT at the moment?
The Ford. That's why I'm running it in this. But now they've changed.
Now they've changed the rules. Yes.
Yeah. So I've basically shot myself in the foot.
Great. Well, yeah, well done on tonight. Before we let you go, though, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, so you guys are always broadcasting the series. It's nice to see how far it's come since season 2 when it first got broadcast. That's always nice. The admins and everyone at CQR and Racehub.
Well, I'm sure you've earned a well good rest after the race meeting today and the 10 hours in the car. I don't know how many hours I was in the car for the Le Mans 24 Hours we did a few years ago, but trust me, I was falling asleep at at the wheel pretty much towards the end. So
Yeah.
well done on that, and yeah, hopefully we'll be speaking to you again in a few weeks.
Yeah, no worries. See you later, guys.
Josh Thompson there. Who should we go for next time? We've got Carl Janssen, we've got Chaz Draco, and we've got Sindre Setsas. So we've got 2 teammates there awaiting us to interview them. So we could drag up those 2.
Yes, excellent.
Okay, we've got Carl Janssen and Sindre Setsas, I believe 2 teammates with us in the interview room. Sam, take it away with Carl Janssen, who had a bit of a dead heat there in the run to the flag in the final race.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible end for Carl today. And whilst you didn't win any races, you're undoubtedly the winner of tonight. A third, and a 4th. You must be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, like when I joined the session, I was really slow, so I just thought, oh shit, it's gonna be like Watkins Glen again. But then in the first race, everything just came together and the speed just came back, and yeah, it all ended very well, and the speed kept through all the races basically.
Yeah, absolutely. When we saw you very decisive with your overtaking moves today, you weren't taking any prisoners out there. You were absolutely desperate to make up as many positions as quick as possible.
Yeah, I mean, in race 2, I think it was, I got an off track on the first lap basically. So there was no need to go for the 0x anymore. So basically, just go as far up the field I could was the best option to get points, really. So yeah, that was my main target this evening, to just take as many positions as I possibly could.
And of course, we had that fantastic final lap battle, or final kind of 3-lap battle with Chris Staines, were there any areas where you really thought that you could make the move, where you were kind of sizing him up, or were you just looking to get the move wherever you could?
Nah, he was flawless. He defended brilliantly. I couldn't really get past anywhere without risking the off track. So yeah, he did a very good job on that defending. Probably some of the best defending I've seen in this series so far.
Yeah, it was super impressive. We'll also have a word with Sindre Setsas. And Sindre, second place in that race one. You just couldn't quite get the move on Josh in the end. You know, he's a tough guy to get past, undoubtedly.
Yeah, that was a good race. Very clean as well. Yeah, the Ferrari is not the best car. Yeah, I don't think there's any track that's suitable for the car. Maybe Imola, maybe, but that's the only track that's suitable for the car. Absolutely no traction anywhere, so it's just so hard to get past.
Yeah, it's certainly looked very tough for the Ferrari drivers out there. Not many of them finishing in the top 10. Of course, with this series, we have different kind of time starts for each race. Do you have to change anything? Because, of course, we went from a 40-degree track temperature to about 20 degrees in that race 3. Yeah, do you change anything with your mindset when it comes to those grip changes?
Yeah, you just gotta push harder, and when it's colder. I use the like few laps of warm up we get before to see which of the high speed corners you can take flat and what corners you can't. So, and then just prepare myself mentally for where I need to lift and stuff if I get in draft. So you just gotta prepare yourself for which corners you need to lift at and which corners you can take flat.
Well, it's been great to watch you two this evening. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank? We'll go Carl first, I guess. If Carl is still there. Well, Sinjay, what about
Nobody
you?
to thank. Yeah.
I want to thank my teammates, Carl included, and then you guys for putting the show on, and the admins for organizing all this. It's good fun, even though my last race didn't go as planned, but we'll just make it better next time.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be wishing you two the best of luck, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Peace.
Carl Janssen and Sindre Setsas there. Just a quick apology for Carly's language, if he did pick up on that. 2 interviews to go then. Chaz Draycott and Michael Blake, 2 drivers that are well known for playing a big part in this series. We'll drag them up now for a quick word. We'll start off with Chaz, I think. Chaz, your evening seemed to get better as it went along. I think you managed to get you were just outside the top 20 by the end of it.
Yeah, I was quite chuffed with that car 22, P22, but that last race was great. I mean, it probably didn't look that great. There was a lot of incidents, I'm not going to lie. It was a bit scrappy tonight, but from my perspective, I avoided it and survived, and it felt like I was on the pace, actually. The better, like you say, the longer it went on, the better it seemed to get. Seemed to just sort of agree with the car more and more. Qualifying was a shambles for me. Race 1, I don't even remember where I finished race 1. I just know race 2 I was like 45th or something because I went down the inside of someone and Johnny Brandon was there and it was my bad. I went across the front of him and then I just had to stay still in the middle of the track. I didn't want to move just in case, and I got hit by about 5 people. But yeah, it was a good night though. I really enjoyed racing around this track, and the Ford in the straight line is just mental, absolutely mental.
Because of where you started in that final race, you probably got a good view of what went on in the first 2 corners.
Yeah, it was just another case of people being a bit too eager on lap 1. Everyone goes for the same like sort of out braking maneuver. Everyone just thinks, oh, I'm going to shove it down the inside, and people are being overly aggressive. What you're supposed to do is just go for it in terms of, you just want to follow the guy in front, break that little bit early, play it safe, just keep your position on track. You don't have to defend or attack or go mad. And then once it spreads out a bit, that's when you start making your moves. You get more opportunity, more space, and the people around you are sort of in their groove as well. And the racing just becomes better. I mean, as it went further and further on, I just felt like the quality of the racing actually got better when there weren't incidents. It was, I mean, overall I enjoyed it. It's just a shame the results didn't always go my way.
If I bring Michael in here, the opening 2 rounds have been very power-hungry circuits, Watkins Glen and here today at Road America. Next week it is pretty much the same again as we go to Sebring. How do you think the cars are going to fare with that one? It is probably one of the bumpiest tracks we go to all year. You're going to have to set the car up well to deal with that.
Yeah, we're quite happy at the moment in our team. We've got some good pace, but I'm finding at the moment it gets to the last 2 or 3 laps of the race and the car just does weird things. Like it just flies out of control without warning. But doesn't do it all the time, and there's no specific place. It'll just do it once. Like tonight, Lee, myself, Ron, we had really good pace, but it's just the luck of the draw. I spun myself in race 1, so it dropped me down the grid, and I just could never get back up again. And then race 3, I got all the way up to 12th, and then I say I just done that weird thing on the last lap. But yeah, we're pretty happy with the speed we've got. We've just got to try and work out what is causing this just weird rear end instability the last couple of laps of a race.
Was there any part of the track where you were finding that rear end stability was becoming a bit of an issue during the race?
The kink.
Oh yeah, fastest point on the circuit. Really couldn't really ask for a worse place for that to happen.
Yeah, done it twice tonight. It just went no warning. The laps before it was fine. The lap after it was fine. It just went in exactly the same. If anything, it went in very slightly slower, and yeah, it just snapped. And with these cars, with a lady aid on, you can't really control it once it started to slide because the traction control kicks in, and it just does what it wants.
And Chaz, yeah, a quick word for you on Sebring coming up next week. How do you think the cars are going to fare there?
I think it'll be great. It's a track that really does suit these cars, if I'm honest, but it just depends on how aggressive people are. It's a very twisty circuit with a lot of zones where you can try and outbrake each other. And like I said before, it's very bumpy. So if you do overdo it a bit, maybe hit a curb, you're going to have a bit of a bad time. But I reckon we might be all right. Hopefully we get Tom back next week for Beast Racing, because Tom's really quick round there. We've seen some good stuff from him before, especially last season as well. So yeah, hoping to get him back, and then we can get some decent points on the board.
Great. Well, Mike, just before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody at all?
You guys for the broadcast, all the admins for putting this series on, and all the hard work they do. They do an amazing job. Simmortal, Drive Doctors, and Dragon Internet are sponsors, and especially Dan McCauley and Jamie Ayres in that last race for a fantastic fight. Really good, really clean, really fun.
And you, Chaz?
Well, everyone at Beast Racing, Steve for tonight, fantastic performance from him, even though he got tied up in incidents. The sponsors, I have to say it, Race Spot, Busy Bot Lawn Care Destinations, and the iRacing Esports Network, of course, and of course you guys for putting on such a great show as always. I'm sure it's been good. I'm going to watch it back after I'm done in the sim for the night.
Great. Well, yeah, it's been very enjoyable for us, and yeah, thanks to you two for coming and speaking to us, and yeah, hopefully all the best for next week at Sebring.
Thanks very much, mate.
Michael Blake and Chaz Drake there. So, final thoughts from you, Sam. Obviously, you were there for Watkins Glen last week and Road America this week, and from what I've seen anyway, Road America has been fantastic, and with Watkins Glen as well the week before, the season's off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, definitely, and I think no drivers have had a complete clear run. I'm pretty sure everyone's kind of had a non-top 20, which is just shows the difficulty of this series, because when even the top guys start sitting outside the top 15 in 2 of the races, it's all about avoiding those crashes, and I think that championship narrative is really going to be a great tale this season. And yeah, just lots of different winners. I'm pretty sure that's 6 different winners now. Oh, sorry, Josh Thompson's won 2, hasn't he? But apart from that, 5 different winners out of 6 races. Yeah, stunning to see. And of course, Sebring next up. Yeah, another difficult circuit, another circuit where the starts could be quite controversial and maybe a little bit more difficult to overtake. And as Chaz was saying, should fit these cars very well. So very much looking forward to round 3 of the championship.
Yeah, in a series like this, it's not about getting all the wins, it's about making sure that you get the consistency with it as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what the championship standings look like when we get to Sebring next week. Well, that means we're pretty much out of time here tonight on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, make sure to give this channel a subscribe and to put those post notifications on by clicking on the bell so that you'll be notified for when we are live. We will be back same time next week, 8:10 GMT, 9:10 Central European Time, for the third race meeting of the season from the Sebring International Circuit in Florida. But for now, all that's left to say is thanks to Sam for joining me in the commentary box for this one. And I've been Adam Bath, and hopefully we will see you next week when we head to Florida for the third race meeting of the season. But for now, from all of us here at Apex Racing TV on the iRacing Esports Network at Road America, bye for now.